Okay, I got the red smoke.
Gun runs north to south, west of the smoke, west of the smoke.
Okay, copy. West of the smoke. I'm looking at danger close now.
Come on with it, baby. Give it to me. I need it. You're cleared hot.
Copy, cleared hot.
And then the red light means that we're going, and I can edit it wherever we want.
Jeez, I like that.
I need to rent time in your studio because this is amazing.
Well, it's available. I'm the only one here ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you guys end up here in Montana? Because we're talking about the apocalypse.
Do you want
before we start.
the long story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, hold on.
All right.
Yeah, we had 19 hours.
All right, perfect. So my parents weren't, they got together young, didn't have much money, but my dad worked for Amtrak. So when my mom got pregnant with me, they were like, our life's over. Not our life's over, but like financially things are going to get weird. Everything's going to change. Let's do one more trip. So they came out to Montana. They rode the Amtrak train from Pennsylvania to Montana. Did
they come right here to Whitefish to the stop?
They went right to Glacier National Park.
Awesome.
They got off the train. They walked the 10 miles to the lodge with like their bags on. I think they stayed at the lodge the first night. They walked up, I think, Snyder Lake, stayed 2 nights at Snyder Lake. My dad had like a fishing pole, like he was like catching fish they did that for a while. Then I think they had to like mooch off another couple they met. But, all of the photos that I saw growing up were from their last hurrah. So I was always like, this is the most amazing place ever. It has to be.
Striking.
Yeah. And of course it still is. I wasn't fooled. So when I got married, same thing. First Christmas we had, I gave her like an IOU packet of stuff, and it's like, when I have some money, I'm gonna take you here. And dude, my wife loved it. Dana's very simple. She was like, this is amazing. And then she like went to school, and she taught, and all of her friends were like, oh, what did he get you for Christmas? She's like, oh, he said one day when he makes money, he's gonna take me on this trip. And they were like, wait, so what did he give you?
There was 2 reactions there. The one that they had in front of her face, and then when she left, they're like, that guy's a piece of shit.
Well, no, that's what they said. They were like, so he just gave you papers of things that he wants to get you. He sounds like a fucking loser.
Let's be honest, it is a bold play, and I think most people are not going to probably live up on the promises. However, I think it's amazing.
I meant it. So I think it took the next year I bought her all the supplies because I still couldn't afford to get out here, but I could afford the supplies. So I got sleeping bag, I got hiking packs, I got some little trinkety things, and was like, here.
Where were you guys living at the time?
Pennsylvania.
Okay, so that's. I was gonna say if you were in Florida and you were buying hiking packs and sleeping bags, that might be a little weird.
Yeah, we were doing outside, like we were doing little off-road adventures where we'd stay out and things like that and sleep in the truck. And then I think year 3 is where I made like a little bit of money, and I was able to bring myself, my brother, and his wife and Dana all out here. And we stayed in like a little log cabin in Columbia Falls, and it was just like, it blew our minds. So we started coming back once a year that we could afford. Once we could afford more, we came back twice a year. And then it took about 6 years, and then all of a sudden I was like, I'm going to buy a retirement. When I'm done, this is where I'm going to end up. So bought a retirement house in May, I think, like 4 years ago. And when I went back to Pennsylvania, for some reason, I stayed out here too long. And when I went back to Pennsylvania, are you familiar with the East Coast?
I spent some time in Virginia Beach and have traveled up and down a little bit, only in passing, though.
Okay, so there's a really dope side to the East Coast. Everyone's like a little more hard-nosed. They have a chip on their shoulder. Their work ethic is like ruthless, but they're just overall a little bit more ruthless.
Maybe in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Virginia Beach.
Wow, I think the further you go, I'm talking, I guess, Northeast. So I'm talking.
The Northeast are hard people.
Pennsylvania, New Jersey,
Maine.
All that,
yeah.
That whole thing, Boston,
yeah,
like they're workers and they'll kick your ass.
Boston folk will grind it out.
As soon as I said Boston, I was like, I should keep that on a different list. But
yeah, they'll grind it out. Those people will turn rocks into pebbles and pebbles into dust to get it done.
Mm-hmm. So I went back and everyone felt like a little bit too much. I got cut off as soon as I got off the airplane. The people were rude to me, and I was like, and
sounds like you went back to L.A.
Yeah. I also had a friend who lost his wife, and we were 30 something, and I was like, why am I waiting to retire? Everything else in my life I do. I go at it full speed and I just do what I want. And now there's this one big play that I'm waiting on. No, fuck that. So I told my brothers, like, hey man, let's move. And we were filming my reality TV show at the time. We were about to. And my brother was like, yeah, let's do it. So the first week of filming, we finished Friday. We made the decision Monday, filmed 1 week of the show. Friday, I flew to Montana, looked at a place, put an offer in, closed on it. I think it was like a 10-day close or whatever, just super fast.
Yeah, I got it done.
And then by the end of the show, like the last episode, we were leaving. So like within a month, we just picked up, at the time, I think it was like $15 million in businesses. And it's just my brother and I. Like, we have no idea what we're doing. We don't have any background. And we're like trying to be like, all right, so we need 10 tractor trailers? Is that what we need to get everything out there? So like we're just trying to figure it out. And then
that's where you outsource the planning of that.
No, we didn't. We don't outsource anything. So I think part of the whole thing that we do, we make everything way more complicated than it needs to be.
Oh, yeah.
But it's because we like to learn.
I'm familiar with this concept.
Okay.
I do everything that I do is also just me, and my house is littered with mistakes.
Yeah.
Physical and metaphorical mistakes just everywhere.
Yeah. That's what we do. And I mean, it's part of the whole journey for us is like, I want to learn how to do it or learn how not to do it before I reach out and hire somebody else. So yeah, in the matter of a month, we were out here. We brought, 5 to 10 employees with us, and then hired another 10 employees from the Valley, and here we are.
And that move was relatively recently, right?
I think it was 3.5 years ago.
That's awesome.
It seems like longer, but it seems like shorter. Like time, I can't tell anymore. Time's a mess.
Yeah, that's another thing that people don't understand when you work for yourself. Days on the calendar, time on the calendar, it starts to blend.
Yeah.
And then people realize you're available generally 24/7. It's like, why didn't you get back to my text at 11 at night? Like, I was trying to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll text you back, but it's going to be at 4 a.m. And
yeah.
That's going to make you mad.
Or when I get up. Or
Yeah.
I'll get back to you at a reasonable hour. I try to, like, buffer in at least some reasonable hours, and then I blow through that almost every day. We had, my family had almost, well, it wasn't business related. We were living in Southern California based on my old job. Our choices were basically Virginia Beach and San Diego from military aspect. Obviously, the Navy's going to be by the water. And we wanted to get out of San Diego for a vacation. And we ended up renting a log house over by Foy's Lake.
Okay.
And came up, got in the cars, drove. I remember my sons got out of school, and I just threw them in the car. I'm like, we're going to Montana. And we all just caravanned up. Spent 2 weeks up there, and like, wow, this is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
And then went back to San Diego. We were actually on a trip in Scotland, and we were just looking at real estate. And it's my ex-wife is from Montana, and people from Montana, they have this gravitational pull. They constantly, we should go back to Montana. We should check it out. I was like, man, whatever. Him and hawing about it. After that 2 weeks, seeing how the kids were having a good time, we decided we would buy an investment property. So we bought a house that was being used as a VRBO. It was like turnkey. I had to basically switch the website over to our name. Came fully furnished. It already had a group of people that were renting it pretty much every summer on Lake Mary Ronan.
Okay.
So bought it, and then we're like, this year, like, let's go use our investment property for December. We stayed the whole month of December, and this was in 2016. Went back to San Diego in January of 2017. We're sitting at the dinner table like, what are we doing? Put our house on the market 2 months later and moved up here.
So we got the same story.
Pretty much, yeah. It was
we accidentally came out here too much.
It was little pieces, but we stayed longer. It's like, our kids are outside more. This is amazing. You look in every direction. It's picturesque. Bought the investment properties. Like, okay, yeah. So it was accidental time here, and then seeing the difference in my kids. And we were at a critical point. I have, I don't know how this is even possible, but I have 2 kids in high school now, and my daughter is a year and a half from it. But my son was getting ready to start 8th grade, and I wanted him to have a social circle before he went into the blender of high school as a young adult male.
Yeah.
Like, we have got to get him up there because I had the experience. I went to, so fucking stupid. I went to a private school in Santa Cruz where I grew up, and then when I switched to a public high school, so I knew nobody on my first day. Not awesome. I mean, I knew my sister, but she refused to acknowledge my existence.
Oh, even better. Yeah.
She legit.
So your one ally.
No, she was not. Contact with you. We're working on our relationship. She's 45, I think, and I'm 42. And we're working on it a little bit. But she dropped me off a block from the school and was like, "Don't tell anybody you know me." That's where we were at that point.
Oh wow.
It was rugged.
Right.
Classic, brother, sister. We agreed on nothing. And it was horrendous. High school, I think, sucks enough as it is for young males.
Yeah.
And so we made the move. God, we sold that house. I remember we had a very stressful day because we were under contract on the house we were moving into and under contract on the house that we had left. And it's like, the deal, until the ink is on the paper. Yeah. It's like, oh my.
Yeah, nothing's real until it's like
we had somebody already fall out of the purchase of the house in San Diego. So I was going off of that experience. We crossed the border July 1st, and I got a phone call about 6 miles into Montana saying, "Hey, your house closed on the sale." It's like, yes. And then we closed like 15 days later.
Oh, that's dope.
It was dope when it finished.
Yeah. Well,
the resting heart rate of 175 for those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but now I'm thinking, I look back, I'm like, why didn't we do this earlier?
That's exactly what I thought.
This place is amazing.
And it's hard if you aren't in charge of your own life. Like, it's hard to come out here and just find a normal job, I think.
Well, the cost of living, and I hear this actually, it's funny. I'll post pictures of Montana and people will message me, stop posting those. It's already too expensive here. I'm from here, especially people in, the Whitefish area, relatively more expensive. We actually looked at Whitefish, and just by having the house in Kalispell, we probably saved $150,000.
Absolutely, yeah. No, Whitefish is a different world right now, and it's just getting. I mean, I own a house there, so it's getting better for me, I guess, but it's getting worse. Yeah,
it's getting better for some and more difficult for others. But that's the way things are.
At the same point in time, I mean, I appreciate it for the restaurants and everything happening there and the skis. So like. There's a part of me that's like, okay, cool, growing makes sense because maybe they'll put another lift in. There's obviously more things. But then when you try to drive through it and you can't, you're like, are we still in Montana?
Yeah, the early morning rush to get up there on the powder days are
brutal.
The struggle bus is real.
Yeah.
It's like LA traffic. That's separate.
I don't know about all that. Let's not exaggerate too much.
I know. That makes me sound like an asshole. No, it's an amazing place to live. And but what you said though is correct. I think if you're not in charge of your own destiny from an occupational perspective, it's tough.
Yeah.
I don't do anything professionally. Well, I mean, I do this, but this is more of something I just enjoy doing. But everything else, I have to get on an airplane to go do.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I think I could afford, to live here or anywhere. But the money certainly goes farther here right now. So. Where'd you grow up?
So all Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I moved around a little bit prior to being old enough to know what was going on. So, but it was all Pennsylvania. It was a place called Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Which most people know because Bam Margera was from there.
That's a terrible reason to know.
But
where that's from.
That's really, he made that place sort of famous.
You see any pictures of that guy recently?
He's not doing okay.
He's living not his best life.
No, he's
rough around the edges.
Yeah, well, he was rough when he was younger too, but you had youth on your side, and I think that I don't know. I feel bad for that whole they just blew up too fast and too much stuff happened. So from Westchester, moved to once my wife and I got married, she got a job teaching, so we moved to a place called Berks County.
Mm-hmm. She's from Pennsylvania as well.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, which isn't that great. Also, Westchester's dope, but Berks County's a little rough. Yeah, but we just set up. I bought warehouses. I bought some houses out there, and we're here now.
Yeah.
And I appreciated it for what it was and had pride in where I was from, but just didn't know any better, I think.
And when you say you bought, the warehouses and stuff, you're talking about for Flag Nor Fail?
Yeah, yeah. So the apparel line is like our big thing. Everything else is just sort of they're still decent-sized companies, but they're Flag Nor Fail is like my heart's in that one.
Well, you might as well unpack all the stuff that you do. So it's
oh my god,
got to go with the broad bio.
So I hate doing this because it sounds like I'm lying,
Yeah.
And people are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I'm a graphic designer, and they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." I hate going over everything. I'm proud of it, but it sounds like I'm lying. All right, so we'll start with what.
It's good for people to hear though, because I don't even know it in its totality, but even just seeing you from an outside perspective, it's diverse.
Mm-hmm.
And the stuff that I do looks like, to me, when I look at it, like somebody took a shotgun of ideas to a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But I also think that people need to see that you can make that work.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess I'll start out with the way we approach life is something clicked. My whole life I grew up, and I always thought, like, you can do anything. And I stopped believing it for a while, and then I sort of came back into that realm maybe at 25. And I started Flag Nor Fail, which is it ended up being like a fitness apparel brand, but we're more like a lifestyle streetwear with an adventure flair brand. Everything started out hand printed, extremely limited, and just like a one-man show.
Because it was literally a one-man show.
It was literally just me. Yeah. So everything would sell out, and all of a sudden there's this like super high demand, and it's like this cool like indie brand, but just because I was struggling.
Yeah, there's so many hours in the day, and
Yeah,
so
if I
many
had another choice, I would have done it. I would have been, mass producing, so I had to have that limited small brand.
It may not be what it is if you would have.
No, it never would have worked. Everything, every piece of adversity that was thrown at me, and then my creative way to get around it was what made the brand.
Yep.
So that's something you never hear. A siren in Montana.
It's a fire truck, though.
I know it wasn't like a
well
look
second
at that.
horn.
Jeez. So Flagner Fail started. That's been around 10 years now, and once I was able to do that, and I realized, okay, cool, I can design, manufacture, make a product. I can figure out how to market the product, take photos, take video, and tell the narrative about it, and then I can actually get it to online and sell it. I was like, oh, this is how this I get this.
Yeah.
So we did that for a while. Another passion of ours is the gym. So we started a gym, private gym, then opened up to doing camps, and now we have a public gym, still in Pennsylvania. So. Apparel line, gym owner. From there, we started a supplement company based on one product that I wanted to start. So the original product was my wife's Miss Olympia, or won Miss Olympia.
Okay.
So that's a huge part of this too. So, we started doing YouTube videos with her, and she blew up in the fitness scene. And anybody I think who's involved in fitness generally knows who she is.
That's a weird market and scene.
It's a very weird scene. And the thing that I'm proud about her with is she entered the scene, and right away we got kicked in the dick. So right away they were like, she needs implants, she needs hair extensions because her hair's too short and it doesn't look good, and she needs to be sexier. And her abs are the cuts in her abs are too deep, and her shoulders are too big. And I was like, wait, so if we want to do this thing, every single judge, everyone's telling us that like, we just need to do like a huge overhaul of my wife and make her a different person. So it's like, maybe this industry's not for us.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was like, no, fuck that. So every single thing that you told us that we need to change, that's what makes her her. Went full steam with that, and she blew up, became Miss Olympia, and like sort of set the new standard for like be yourself in the industry. And now the industry's it's just full of tons of individuals. Prior to that, it was you sort of had to fall into a lane.
I was going to say, how many people do you think got that advice and just dove into it hook, line, and sinker?
Oh, everybody. And everyone
lost
still
who
does.
they were.
Everyone still does. And they do it on multiple things. I think the saddest thing, we're going to touch on so many topics here, but my wife still puts the natural thing out, which is a very, it's like a vicious word to say. The second you say like, I'm natural, everyone's like, fuck you, you're a liar. Like there's nothing worse than a fake natty. And part of me wants
fake natty.
A fake natty.
I've learned something new today.
There you go. So there's nothing worse than someone who does steroids and pretends like they don't. And I've had talks with them like, yo, can you just shut the fuck up? Yeah. Like, I know you're proud of it, but can you just be quiet? And she's like, no, I'm not going to be quiet, because every single one of her fans does the same thing that she did at the start. So they start to get interested in fitness, and then right after that, they run into someone who gives them advice, whether it's implants, whether it's hair extensions, whether it's blah, 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 bigger butt implants or whatever. But one of the main things is, if you want to look like Dana, you have to do steroids. So you're going to get on Anavar, you're going to get on all these things. And what she sees is she's like watching herself inspire people, and then people find help from coaches. And then next thing you know, 6 months later, these girls, like their skin sucks, their metabolism's fucked, their hair's falling out, and they're like a mess. And you know who they're mad at? They're mad at her. Because they felt like you're a fucking liar. Now I look like this, or all these things happen because of whatever. So that's why she still pushes and actually speaks verbally about the natural thing, even though she gets such backlash. She's like, I have to let people know, if I can even save one girl from going down that weird path.
That's a crazy place to be, because she's in an inspirational or an aspirational position. And I honestly, I see it all the time. People want to diffuse the responsibility away from themselves. Never mind the fact that they you can get advice, whether or not you choose to take it.
You don't have to take it. Yeah.
Correct. But then they choose to take it, and they'll get angry at somebody else over a choice that they made, even though it was their choice to try to pursue that path. Yeah. It's very interesting to see people shed that accountability and responsibility. And I think our society would be substantially better without that bullshit, for sure.
Yeah. That just goes back. It goes to ownership of everything. And,
Yeah.
And I think the average person doesn't want to take responsibility for anything.
How much of a grind is it to get to the top level of that game?
I don't know. So it's the same thing with
Well, for her, I mean, you had to
and
watch her, I'm sure. I mean, she must have been completely...
she was rocked, but I
mean, is it all-consuming?
She's a very special person. And once she decides to do something, she'll just do it.
Yeah.
So when it was like, hey, Dana, you have to diet. You have to eat 7 meals a day. Every single meal is the same exact thing. She's like, okay. And she just...
There's very few people who could do that.
Broccoli, rice, and chicken, done.
Yeah.
And just like, and she'll do it for 20 weeks. She'll do it. She was doing it all year round. Just dieting and everyone's like, oh my God, you don't do cheat meals? No, I have a job to do. What? Why would I do? And then it was the off season. They're like, why are you still shredded? Well, it's my job. I'm a professional. This is what I want to do professionally. Yeah. Why would I get out of shape?
Yeah, because don't a lot of them, like, they compete and then it's like, donuts, bitches.
I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to put on some size. But like, that's one thing that she did is, and I don't know if she changed the standard for the industry or anything with this, but she was like, no, I'm a professional. I'm always going to look like a professional. So she never went out of shape she's still not out of shape. I would say.
Wouldn't that be easier on your body too, instead of the ballooning?
And that's why she's been in the industry so long. I'd say men are different. Men, nobody cares how they look, how their skin is. They just care about how big they are.
I know some men who care about their skin.
No, that's true. Yeah, but generally you can just be a monster and everyone's like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, you're a monster. Girls, it's hard to be a monster and get everyone's attention. So girls still have to like look pretty and do all that shit. And that's one thing for her, that the combination of always staying consistent, never touching the drugs, and then like actually just treating her body well over the last 10 years. She's been in the industry 12 years and doing really well in the industry 12 years. And other people are wondering how. It's like, well, it's the same shit we've been telling you from the start is don't touch the drugs and stay on track and don't take an off season. Just be healthy with it. Do fitness because you enjoy it. So
yeah, make it your lifestyle.
Yeah. So when you ask that, there was hard times.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of this shit we couldn't do without each other. So she needed me a lot on the mental side. There was a lot of like just why am I doing this? Or
the sense of purpose or going through the sine wave of emotions.
There was 4 years of not being validated. So losing every show, and then also, no positive feedback from judges. Not one supplement company would pick her up. Just
what are they judging them on the shows? Is it purely physique?
No. So women, it's overall look. And
okay.
And they, I don't know if they call it marketability, but they call it marketability.
It's what it is.
It's marketability.
Okay.
So it's pretty much the way that I've learned that you can pick out. You walk out and everyone's going to be generally in the same shape. And then there's going to be one person that walks out that's really like, whoa, okay, they have something different.
The wow factor, if you will.
The wow factor.
Yeah.
And I think with not knowing what you're looking at, that stage presence, the way that they move, the way that they smile, everything, it all sort of goes together. But then it's also graded on physique, that you're not like, especially her division, that you're not too striated or too dry or anything like that. So there's like a nice little balance there where you still look healthy in people's opinion.
Yeah.
And that all goes into it. And I would say it's crazy. And people like to get mad about politically, well, it's because they have a bunch of Instagram followers. It's like, yeah, it's part of the fucking game, man.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to show up and nobody knows who you are, no, you need to do work in the off season on your social. That's part of it. And I think you can get mad about it, or you can realize that, like, no, I need to put out content. I need to do all the videos leading up to the show to get everyone's attention. That's part of the game, The
game is the game.
It's one, and it's every single sport. You think that Conor McGregor could just be dead quiet and then show up on fight day and it would do the same thing? No.
Well, I don't think it's possible for Conor McGregor to be dead quiet.
No, it's not. It's not. But it's also, but he's doing it for a reason.
But look at the brand that he's built, too, with the proper 12, and he's got his clothing. I mean, like.
Yeah, he's fine.
And with that built, a lot of that built, though, because he couldn't keep his mouth shut.
Yeah.
And he, I think, maybe for better or worse, kind of changed the game in that UFC world.
Yeah.
Because he was, I mean, let's be honest, he's a fucking Jedi shit talker.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It's really good
to see him get inside of people's ears and crumble them before they even get into the ring.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, Jose Aldo was ready to tear his head off and ran right into that punch and was just like, what happened? Did I win?
It's all mental.
That was completely mental. His anger and just desire, because but again, and now you see people. I don't know. Yeah, but I agree with you. I mean, and that's the thing. The game is the game. You can only hold yourself responsible to how you play it. And if you play it poorly, that's not the game's fault.
And you have to realize that sometimes the game is bigger than what you see. So. Yeah,
and it's also the game ought to be fair. That's another one people need to realize as well. It's like this even playing field. It was interesting. You say like people get told you can do whatever you want to do. I have, like I said, 3 kids, and one thing that I tried never to overly push on them or ask them, what are you going to do when you grow up? I think it's a stupid question. I asked them what do they want to do? Define what it is that they feel like that they want to do, and I'll do everything I can to support them. But none of them are going to play in the NBA. My oldest son will probably be 6 foot tall. I'm 6 foot even. Maybe he'll be 6'1", 6'2". I'm sorry, but if you want to play in the NBA, Riley, you're not going to.
Yeah.
So you can't do whatever you want to do, but there's a ton of opportunity. Yeah. Define what you feel like empowers and rewarding for you, and then let's go down that path. Yeah. But I think that false bill of goods where you can be anything. I'm like, no, you can't. You can't.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. So I have the mentality of, yes, I can.
You're never going to play in the NBA. It's just not going to happen.
You're bumming me out right now.
I'm just telling you. There's people who are 7 foot tall.
I'm 36 years old.
Who will go over you and dunk.
No, I know. I like to enter things with the irrational confidence that I can, though.
All right, I'm going to set up a 100-yard dash between you and Usain Bolt. You're not going to win.
Okay. Well, how long do I get to train for?
Like a week.
So listen. All right. You're comparing me to the best in the world.
Well, I'm just saying. But at the apex, right?
Okay.
Well, let's
So
to use your wife. Do you think that there are some women whose genetics would never allow them to achieve that apex, or that there are some aesthetic?
They could achieve their own apex, though. So I want to go back to the Usain Bolt thing real quick. So. Okay, maybe I couldn't beat the fastest guy in the world, which you're setting me up for failure right there.
Hey, man, second place is first loser.
But could I make a living in the running sprinting industry?
I bet you could.
100%.
Yes, you could.
I could make $1 million in that industry.
Well, that's because you understand the game, in air quotes, in a larger perspective.
Exactly. Same thing with the NBA. Yeah. Could I play in the NBA? No, but I could. If I'm positive that if I was that interested in basketball, I could somehow develop a really strong foothold in that industry and do something really good in it that I enjoyed. Yeah. To where one day I could be shooting around with LeBron James and enjoy it.
And the difference is, I think you realize where your apex may lie in comparison to the best in the world, whereas other people, I think, are like, no, I'm going to be the best in the world. Like, well, you're 4'8".
Which is great.
You're 4'8".
Yeah. And I think I think you realize, like, okay, where your apex falls and, like, what you can do to accomplish having your dream of being in that industry.
Doesn't mean you can't touch the magic or touch the dragon in that ecosystem, but maybe just some people who are less than 5 feet tall should reassess their goals.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I believe everybody can reach their own apex. I think, I don't know, anecdotally or from what I've seen, I would say that most people unfortunately judge their apex against others as opposed to against themselves.
Exactly.
And that's where they start getting in trouble. Why do you have so many Instagram followers and I don't? Well, what are you doing that, that's...
Yeah. I'm doing exactly what you're doing. It's like, well, it's do your own thing and that'll work out.
Yeah.
Or don't worry about Instagram followers.
Yeah, that's
a big option. One. That's an option you have.
It's a huge one. Facebook friends that you've never met are not actually your friends.
Nope.
And
Mom, did you hear that? If my mom's listening.
My dad reposts some of the most gnarly stuff on Facebook, and I want to just keep sending him to like factchecker.org but I don't.
No, it does.
I gave up. Go. I do.
Yeah. Let him share the Russian blogs. And
occasionally I'll be like, Dad, maybe a little less.
Yeah. We've tried to get my mom under control, but we can't. She's completely out of control.
I don't know if our parents' generation are ready for the internet.
No. So I'm not ready for TikTok.
So my daughter does this, and I don't get it either.
And that's where I'm starting to realize, like, okay, cool. I'm mid-30s now. Yeah. I've realized that I see the humor that they're trying to do, and it's not
even targeted for you at this point.
And it's not good. Yeah. It's like, I can't. I understand it, but I can't be in it to understand it. So,
yeah, I'm aware TikTok exists, and I watch my daughter making TikTok videos, and I sit there and I'm like,
I don't get it.
What the fuck is going on? And I'm like, I'll support her, like help her. Like,
exactly.
And I showed up and won somehow because she was making fun of me, which is probably the only good thing I could do on TikTok is be made fun of. But yeah, it's a different ecosystem.
Yeah. And that's what our parents are dealing with in Facebook. They just don't understand what's going on. They're just playing their version of the game.
My dad is so funny. Total side note. So I bought him his first laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom passed away from cancer in 2010. And after that, I remember I took him to the Apple store and I got him a laptop. And one day he was like, "Hey, how come you're not responding to my emails?" And I like logged into my email. I'm like, "I haven't gotten any." Like, talk me through the process of how you're writing an email.
This is gonna be good.
I write an email, I write it out there and I close the laptop. I'm like, "Okay, can you go into your drafts folder for me?"
And there's just
It's just a lack of, like, you got to hit the send button, So he had a robust draft folder and was wondering why I wasn't responding to him. It's like the learning curve.
Yeah.
He was that was his TikTok learning curve. It was a little bit slow.
Yeah. Well, at least he has it now.
Yeah, but it's now we're playing around with like texting and just regular calling.
That's what my dad does.
Yeah, it's better. I think
weird text messages, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he butt dials me a lot too. It's I don't know. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, there's nothing to do.
Yeah,
You just deal with it.
I let it go
and
I laugh at it. And some of the social media posts, I just slowly close the laptop. I'm like, I'm done for a few hours. I don't want to see this shit anymore.
I blocked everyone.
That's a strong one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to find out the way that doesn't notify them that you blocked them.
No,
so
I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe I need to up my game and go to that level.
Yeah. You can't. There's no feelings.
Well, I'm talking about my own family at this point. So
me too. Me too. Yeah. I actually this weekend I unblocked my mother-in-law and I unblocked my mom
first
as like a gift.
Is a short 30 minutes until they went back at it.
Well, I don't go on Facebook modes, but once I go on there, it's I can only handle so many weird political things. I just don't.
And right now, I cannot see another COVID-19 post from somebody with a non-scientific background making a scientific statement based on a set of statistics that they saw.
Yeah, do we talk? We're in the middle of that right now.
We can talk about.
Can we talk about that?
We can talk about whatever you want.
Why don't I finish what I did?
Yeah, we should. Okay.
Right, so
I have a feeling we'll get back to the old COVID-19.
We have
Flag Nor Fail
apparel
gym.
line, Warhouse Gym. We have Run Everything, which is our supplement line, which is all vegan.
What was the product? You said you started.
Okay, so Onward. So we travel all over the world and we make these appearances and we get our dicks kicked in. And we'll
the travel, you mean?
From the travel, so it'll be travel to England, and then we'll do a 6-hour signing where they don't care about me, they care about her.
Yeah.
And she has a 6-hour line.
Oh no, I've seen them.
And everyone hugs her.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to like take your sweatshirt off and flex, and so like she's just meeting these people and getting beat down, and everyone has this opinion of you that like she's an amazing little person on the internet, and they forget that like she gets tired, or she has to go to the bathroom, or she's hungry, or whatever, she's mad at me, and she's trying to like hold that all together. So
there's a performance nature to that as well.
It's crazy, and she does it so well. I'm like an hour in, and people were like, "I thought you were gonna be taller." I'm like, "You look like shit. Shut the fuck up." And they're like, "What? You can't say that to me." I'm like, "No, I'm a real person, dude. We can fight right now if you want to." So
people aren't ready for that in the signing line. Yeah.
No. So
like, dance, monkey.
Yeah, exactly. I've waited 4 hours for you to dance, and it's like, listen, man, I'm not getting paid to be here. So pretty much every morning we were doing like a cocktail. We were making a little cocktail. So we were doing like emergency packets. We were doing coffee. Then we were like chasing that with Red Bull, and just, like that was our little thing in the morning. And it was like, okay, cool. Now we're getting ready. So we came back and I was talking to my friend and I was like, I wish there was something that was immune boosting, that gave me like sustainable energy, that like enhanced my mood. And he's like, dude, you could totally make that. So, and then also had like a little Adderall effect where it kept me focused. So when we went to these expos,
nootropic aspect to it.
And that's what I learned about. Yep. And they were like, yeah, a nootropic, you do some immune boosting. We throw some caffeine in there, and then you have it. It's pretty simple. And I was like, is there anything like that on the market? And they're like, no. I was like, oh, okay. So we made it. And dude, week 1, we sold so much that it was like, sold out, everything gone. And I was like, oh, we're on to something. So continued to make that, swore we would never go into the rest of the supplements, and then eventually learning things about other supplement companies and how like the supplement market's so sketchy.
Seems like it's the Wild West in some degrees.
100% the Wild West. So I was meeting dudes that were mixing their supplements in cement mixers.
That sounds reasonable.
So they'd be like, well, it's a new cement mixer. I've only mixed supplements in there. I'm like, I still feel like there should be more rules. I'm like, where do you get your raws?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you can buy raws online. I'm like, do you test them? They're like, well, no, they're certified. I'm like, what?
By who? Because somebody bought a stamp that said certified?
Exactly. And then they just mix this powder and they fill up bottles and package it and they sell it. And I'm like, I don't.
So there's really a lack of consistency when it comes to that.
So that's what I've been taking.
No.
So you can do that. I mean, obviously, once you get bigger, there becomes rules and things like that. But there's tons of little brands that just do whatever they want. So I realized, like, well, no, why don't we make responsible stuff? We'll go to the manufacturers, make sure stuff. So we came out with the supplement line. Somewhere in there, I started doing music.
I wanted to ask you about that because it seems more recent. You're getting back into it again?
So music for me started because we were making money on YouTube, and then they started blocking our music.
Because you probably didn't have the rights to it?
When they we were monetizing and doing pretty well, and then all of a sudden it was like flagged, and I was like, oh no. Like,
was this relatively recently?
No, this was a long time ago. I forget, maybe 2013, 2012.
Oh, wow. Because I noticed just recently, and maybe I'm late to the game, but Joe stopped live streaming his podcast as well.
Really?
Yeah. And I think he did. I never see it.
The rules are always changing.
That's what I think. I think the rules kept changing on him. And because I remember leading up to that, he was always talking with Jamie, like, play the video, but not the, you know what I mean? They could not even have a snippet
I've noticed he's very
of content that they didn't own.
So that's what happened to us. So I was like, fuck it, I'll make my own music. So I made a song called Work, Hustle, Kill. And we put the video out. It got like 250,000 views in 2 days, which was very good for me at the time. And then still very good for me. And people actually like took snippets of the song, looped it, and put it up for download. And I was like, whoa, people like my background music.
Yeah.
So we came out. I was like, hey, man, let's make a full record. So we made a full record. And
did you have any idea how to make a record before this?
My boy did.
Okay.
My boy had been engineering, but he'd never really made anything. He was just like, he was trying to make it. And I was like, man, you sort of know what you're doing. And he does. So I was like, oh, let's make a record. So we made a record, very unique sound. I came from a hardcore discipline, and I was like, oh, let's make a hardcore album. He's like, I don't know how to make that music. I make hip hop, but I know electronic a little bit. I was like, all right, well, make whatever you can, and we'll meet in the middle. So we met in the middle, and we created this weird, like, hip hop screaming genre that I don't even, when people are like, what kind of music? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So we like put out a record, and no label or anything. We just uploaded it, and we hit 13th on the Billboard charts, on the Heat Seeker Billboard charts. Somehow, I don't know, just like we got like a plaque and everything sent to us, and we're like, how is? And we held #1 electronic for like 2 to 3 years, within top 5 of electronic. And this was on like
on the iTunes store.
And this is when Skrillex was out. There was no streaming yet.
Yeah.
So like if you went to electronic and you hit top 10, we were always top 5 for 3 or 4 years.
No shit.
Yeah. The other thing, financially, crazy back when people could buy albums. So, like I don't mind talking numbers because I feel like it inspires people. It inspires me when I hear numbers.
Yeah.
So we released our album, and he's like, what do you want to do with the revenue? I was like, it's not going to be that much. I was like, you keep it. First week, we made $30,000.
Yeah, you should probably renegotiate that.
So my boy kept it, right? And then,
about that.
So I just said, I didn't even ask. I was like, oh, whatever. So $30,000 popped first week, and I was like, cool. So we keep going, and it's like 3 months later, and my brother was like, hey, man, is your album still selling? I was like, it looks like it's still on top on the charts. So I hit him up, and I was like, hey, man, like, is the album still making money? And he was like, yeah, a little bit. I wanted to talk to you about that. And I was like, all right, what's it making? And he was like, well, and he gave me the number, and I was like, I did the math, and I was like, wait, you're making $8,000 a week right now?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. And I was like, all right, cool. We're going to 50-50 now. I gave you the first little one.
Yeah.
So we went to 50-50.
Let's be reasonable about this.
Yeah. So we were like, well, people love our music. Let's keep making music. So we came out with 6 more albums, I think. Or I think we.
I did not know that you were that deep into music.
Yeah, 6 albums, 2 remix albums, 6 albums, and then I just, I was not that I was getting bored, but I was like, no, I want to do hardcore now. Like hardcore is where my heart lays. That's what I listen to when I train. I either listen to like R&B or hardcore when I train. It's either Fiona Apple or Hatebreed.
That's like a Grand Canyon of difference.
You know?
Yeah.
Just side to side, nowhere in the center. Just, I like the ridges of the Grand Canyon. So
Yeah.
I recently just released a single called Heartbeat. It's metalcore, I would say, is the genre. I have another song coming out called Progress on Thursday. It's the music I love, man, because the music, I don't make it for people, I make it for myself. It's all positive affirmations. It's all talking about like being the best and like overcoming things, and it's a lot of the shit that like I need to hear.
Yeah.
You know, I've always told myself things like when things get hard, you know, you give yourself a pep talk, and I was like, well, that pep talk.
Some people do.
Some people do.
Some people give themselves like the negative spiral and go the other direction.
Well, that's not good. You don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that, but it's amazing how many people do.
Well, they're doing it wrong. So
Correct.
listen to my music and, you know, sing along. Yep. So I was like, well, let me do those pep talks. I'll just scream them and repeat them and make it a relatively easy song. And, which I get criticized for, like, you're too repetitive. And it's like, I don't know, man, we're doing a simple thing. We're lifting weights or we're getting ready for something. We don't need complex lyrics. Like, we need little John Let's Go lyrics. So,
and most music these days is highly repetitive. If you actually listen to the song.
Yeah. And mine's like that on purpose because I want to make you comfortable with what's being chanted. I want to make it very consistent. There's no surprises. I'm not trying to have downtime. Like, I'm making music for a very specific moment. When you're getting ready for something, when you're in something, when you need that pep talk. So just started screaming the pep talks out loud, and people love it. And now I'm about to release my first quote-unquote solo album so Charlie is the other half of Rob Bailey and the Hustle Standard.
Yep.
And about to release a solo album here. It's a metalcore, and I hope people like it. But I'm starting my second one in April, so.
Yeah, it sounds like in almost everything you do, you're filling the need for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and any project, I mean, even real estate, you know, it's I'm pretty deep into real estate now. I think we have 5 or 6 Air BnBs, tons of warehouses and things like that. And that's all just like, I don't know, like that's for myself too. It originally started because I'm buying warehouses because I need them to host all the businesses. And I was buying Air BnBs because like, I was like, oh, well, I want a little cabin in the woods, but I'm not gonna be there full time. So I'll rent it. And now I'm only buying houses that I like. Like I'm not doing long-term rentals because they seem gross. But the Airbnbs, I can build this experience, and I'm building an experience that I want.
Yeah.
And then hoping that other people want it. So,
well, and then if they do want it, they're paying off your asset for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
dude, I have questions about the music world because I know almost nothing about it, but I've always heard that it's just cut.
So I don't know anything about it either. Just so
I'm just talking like the mechanics of, you know, so you say, you know, the guy's making $8,000 a week. So what year was this?
2013. 14.
So you guys would make the music, and then where would you upload it for people to buy it?
So originally, TuneCore.
Okay.
We used to use. So TuneCore then puts it on all different things. So back then it was just.
So they take a scrape, I'm assuming.
No. So the way TuneCore used to work, I think it was. We don't use them anymore, but it was something. It was a flat rate of like $50.
Really?
And they'd put it all up there. And then iTunes, I think you used to get 70%.
Yeah.
So a song was $1, they would take their 30%.
That's what
their 30 cents, and then you would get 70 cents. So my numbers aren't that big.
Yeah.
Like it's not like I'm crushing, but you know, people were buying my music and things like that. And back when it was purchasing albums, you know, people bought them, and they also appreciated that I was a small artist. So I feel like more people bought it than stole it. And then, you know, it sort of kept going from there. We grew, and then when it turned to streaming, that's when everyone was like, they lost their ass. So
you're talking about like the Pandoras, the
Spotify's, everyone was like, we're getting crushed.
Because they're getting paid a very microscopic number per player.
Very. I think it's like 6 plays for like 0.0003.
Oh no.
It's bad. So, but just like, so I entered it not on a label, right? Mm-hmm. So once again, let's just say that there's a $30,000 a month coming in. It just comes straight to 2 dudes who split it, right?
Yeah, as opposed to your label
taking As opposed to the label taking something, or the label fronting us to make our album. Like, hey, here's $100,000 to make your album, and then we're charging interest on that $100,000, and we're
taking it off the top.
That's where it gets weird. So for us, it's just like, oh, we made a thing, and now it's on the internet. So
I know, and maybe what I had heard was wrong because, like I said, I know nothing about it. But
I don't know anything either. So
I had heard that digital marketplace is a rough one. Even that I had heard that that iTunes is taking a pretty heavy scrape at this point too.
So yes, everyone's taking a pretty heavy scrape. Now, once again, I'm not doing it for a living.
Yeah.
Like that money comes in my account and goes right back out into retirement and different investments. Like it's not like I'm paying for a Lambo with it. So when we moved to digital, all of a sudden everyone's like not getting the same money. Like, but normally they have 5 people in a band and things like that. So the beautiful little hole that I fell into is like when you're happy and you're out with your friends, you listen to a certain type of music, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, and how often are you out with your friends?
Recently, I'm not allowed to be.
Okay. So there you go. So you don't, whatever album.
I'm not going to lie to you. I really enjoy social distancing. This provides me an opportunity to not have to make excuses to like, I can't make it because I have to go meet with my tax lawyer. They're like, it's November. I'm like, oh yeah, it's the only time she had.
It's the only time to get ready.
This is optimal for me.
It's very good time right now for a lot of people. But the thing that I fell into is I don't realize like, oh, I'm on your playlist of the thing that you do every day.
Yeah, it's always background. Like anytime people are over, background music or.
Well, I understand that. Yeah. But most people train every single day.
Yeah.
Right. So I get a play every single day from you.
Oh, for sure.
Not from you.
Yeah, I understand.
But that's where it is. So, like, I get in the mood for, like, I can't think of a band right now, but a band like
Britney Spears.
Britney Spears. Yeah. That's like a very specific time I listen to Britney Spears.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably not this month, but maybe once next month.
Maybe not this year.
Who knows? Who knows? It's definitely like a goofy dance party at my house with my wife would be a Britney Spears song or something.
You're having a martini in my mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm spilling it. It's great.
It's like a chocolate martini.
But like my song Beast, like that's on people's playlist that like, they're like, well, no, when I bench or like it's on their workout playlist. So where streams actually helped me. So all of a sudden it's like every single day my stuff's still getting played where everyone else used to deal with like a one buy and then it would go away.
Yeah.
So it's worked out really well. Now the numbers are progressively going down because everyone's now realizing, now we can all take our pieces. But it's also same thing, dude. I'm not looking at it as a revenue stream. I just like doing it.
It's amazing how you can find revenue streams though and things that you like doing.
They're everywhere. Yeah.
When I started this podcast, it was literally off the suggestion of somebody, and I never knew where it was going to go. Yeah. And then 5 months into it, an ad placement company reached out to me, and I actually toiled with it for a really long time because I didn't start it to make money, and all I do is basically reinvest it. You buy a camera or this board.
Yeah. But all of a sudden you have like a weird little business that is supporting
you have a weird little
and,
income where you could buy people a plane ticket to come and go do a podcast. And so I just take the money and put it back into that. But I enjoy doing this because you get to sit down and meet people and like, holy shit, that's interesting, and learn about their background. But you can, that's the game. I mean, it's
the world's a really cool place right now in a lot of aspects like that.
Not unlike the virus aspect, but
no, not the virus aspect's putting a little. It's not as cool.
I tell you what I'm worried about.
All right, let's move on to the virus now.
Let's
stop avoiding it.
We can come back. We can come back to all the other stuff too. What I'm worried about is people's behavior. The shortages of all the necessities that people are buying up, toilet paper, which is a bizarre one to me.
Very bizarre.
I don't think there's a shortage of toilet paper. I think there's a shortage of people objectively making decisions. So they're hoarding and then therefore removing the ability for other people to get necessities. And that behavior freaks me out a little bit.
It's dangerous, yeah.
I don't like it. And then, you watch people, gun and ammo sales are going through the roof. If you've never used a gun, now is not the time to buy one.
When you're panicking and scared?
Guns can introduce a lot of problems.
Real fast.
Real fast. And my background is unique because I've been around them for the vast majority of my life, and it's another tool that's literally on a tool belt. And I understand that it's not a lightsaber. It's not this magic wand or Harry Potter wand, I guess would be it. You get to wave around and solve problems. I've seen them create some horrendous situations, and I'm starting to see videos of people like brawling in the paper towel aisle. And I think people need to just go ahead and back that off a touch.
Yeah.
Because that's what worries me. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't want to get the coronavirus. I expect that I will.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll kill me. I don't think that it will. I know it's not going to be the end of civilization, but I'd like to have a civilization that we can come back to at the end of this.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's the virus that will change that. It's the way that people treat each other.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like it's being handled completely wrong.
Yeah, I mean, how do you find the balance between educating and providing guidance and not scaring the shit out of people? Because I think most people are just scared.
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody that I know is just scared. I'm not scared. I'm just sort of like, I'll take precautions. It'll be fine. It's another thing. But yeah, the more I sort of watch and pay attention, the more I'm like, should I be scared?
Well, the 24-hour news cycle I don't think helps.
No. Opinionated news cycle.
Editorialized for sure. Yeah, I think in our parents' generation, I think they actually gave you the news and gave you the space to make up your own mind. I don't think they allow that anymore.
It doesn't exist.
This is what happened, and this is how you will feel. But I tell you what, we are in an optimal location for what is going on.
Don't tell them that.
We just had a massive coronavirus outbreak in the Kalispell area, so people should avoid it.
You should see how high the bodies are piled outside. Do not come to Montana.
Well, I went to a grocery store, and they were a little bit loose on some stuff and light, and then a different grocery store, and they were fine.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It's getting a little worse. I think school out Monday.
Yeah, my kids are out now.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
But they did that at a smart time too, because their spring break was next week. So they basically are adding 5 days on top of what
Good
was
for them.
Yeah, it's a smart call. Now, there's no guarantee they'll go back at it at the end of spring break, but as long as everybody's reasonable,
it'll be fine.
Supply chain has not been interrupted. Mm-hmm. But I kind of just want to go to Costco and steal people's carts.
Do you?
Yeah. Like full of toilet paper and just like put them back in the...
So you want to start weird fights in Costco?
I don't want to start fights.
That's what you're doing by stealing carts.
I want people to stop being fuckwits. I want them to take their 8,000 rolls of toilet paper and put back 7,900 of them for everybody else.
Yeah. It's a weird place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I there's a workaround for it all right now. As far as food goes,
Do tell.
It's just naturally my workaround anyway. It's no one's buying the vegan food.
That's right. I forgot that you are a vegan. How long have you been a vegan?
No one's buying the vegan food. So I haven't had meat in 5 years.
Yep.
But I've actually been a vegan for a little shy of 4 years now.
What drove you to make that life change?
I was 310 pounds.
Holy shit.
I was big. I was fucking strong, dude.
Yeah.
Like I could pick up I could do anything except for run.
What was your height, weight, like 18 years old?
6'3", 18. So I was graduating. So I'm going into college. 215.
Okay. 6'3", 215.
Yeah. Very athletic. Like I could run like
100 lbs on top of that.
Yeah. So pretty much I was running. I could run a 4:30 mile. I could do anything. I was like super athlete at 18. Went to play college ball. Fell out of love with college really fast. Dropped out. Went to art school. Dropped out of art school, and then like met some bodybuilder friends. And they're like, let's just eat as much as possible and get really strong. So I went to 240. I went to 260. I went to 280, and then I was like, man, I'm going for 300. Went for 300. Overshot it. Hit like 306, and was just loving it.
What would your daily meal consumption look like when you were at 300?
So I don't know, I guess eat all morning, whatever. I don't even remember, but midday.
Like massive calorie consumption.
Yeah. And then after training, we'd go to Chinese buffet and we would just eat. It was just like eat everything.
So there was no discretion on what was going in your body?
Zero discretion. Eat everything. And I also, so when I started working, one of the things I did when I started Flag Nor Fail is Ustream had become real.
Ustream.
So it was the first streaming service out there, really.
I don't know if I ever caught that one.
So this was 2010.
Okay.
Or 2009. So
I was task saturated elsewhere. Okay. Focusing on other things.
You're busy. Yeah. So everyone was talking about, I'm the hardest worker. I work so hard. I don't sleep. And I was like, well, I actually don't sleep. How do I prove that? I was like, ooh, I'll Ustream. So I used to Ustream me printing. I would turn around and pee in bottles and everything like that. And my superpower was I started smoking Black and Milds. So I finally broke straight edge. And
I don't know if that's a superpower.
So I couldn't fall asleep as long as I was smoking Black and Milds.
Oh, the nicotine was keeping you awake?
It would just, I guess so. So I would smoke these Black and Milds, and like I was just always like, why am I just awake? So I could literally work 20 hours a day, sleep 3 or 4 hours, and come back to work.
And you felt okay? Like
no,
I was gonna say
no. I felt horrible.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's physically and emotionally taxing.
So I was doing pretty much Monsters and Black and Milds, and I did that for years. And I kept the Black and Mild habit. and energy drink habit, and obviously Chinese buffet habit, up until like 306 pounds, and I was just going. And we were in Australia, and we were on like this like appearance tour of like a month where we were just getting our dicks kicked in with jet lag and boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And I was with my wife and my art director, and they were like, I went to the bathroom and I came back and I'd ordered, you know, obnoxious, stupid food.
8-foot-long sandwiches.
Yeah, and they're like, hey man, you're not okay. And I was like, I'm fine. And they were like,
it was
no.
intervention time.
It was intervention in a little cafe in Australia. And they were like, nah, like, you got to get under control. Like, we're going to save Rob Bailey. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Play on kill Rob Bailey, save Rob Bailey. So, like, it was like, we got to get you healthy. So, right, I was like, I don't know what to do. So they were like, well, let's stop eating. Are you expecting anyone here?
Nope.
Me neither. What's up, man?
No worries. Yeah.
Yeah, you can have them. Awesome, man. Thank you.
So they're going to save Rob Bailey.
So, yeah, they're saying, let's save Rob Bailey. I was like, cool. So what should I do? So the first thing I dropped out, it all sort of came together at once. I dropped out meat. And I was like, all right, well, I'll just do fish, because when Dana diets down really hard, she does fish. So she does.
Is it because she likes the taste of fish?
No, she just drops out meat. And fish is the leanest for her, and and that's like her last. So I was like, I'll do that. So I started fasting, intermittent fasting, and I started just eating fish, vegetables, and rice.
Like cold turkey, you started doing that?
Yeah, like then when I got back.
Okay.
And I started to see really good results. And around that time, there was a dude on YouTube that like, it was these different factors. We just got baby goats because we wanted cute little goats because we thought it'd be fun. Whatever. We drove past them on the highway and we're like, goats for sale. Let's get too many goats. And then also some vegan guy on the internet was just ripping Dana apart, like being really mean. So he had like
on the internet. That's a shocker.
Yeah, right. So he's making videos of Dana, fucking cunt, fucking.
Oh
blah,
my
blah, blah.
God!
And I'm just like, I was like, how do I find this guy and kill him? I can't. I know he's in Canada, but
you and I had the same thought process when you're describing that. I'm like, this is a
that was
mathematical.
just what I thought I should do. I was like, all right. So I'm doing all those things, but now I'm like watching some vegan videos on YouTube. So I'm in that like weird like, oh, where does my beef come from? And I watched the video. I'm like, oh no. In that same time, I'm getting in better shape, and I'm seeing these goats, and they're just like dogs. They jump on you, you like pet them, they run to you. I'm like, there's no difference between this goat and my dog. Okay? So I'm starting to form a relationship. We also have chickens.
Yep.
We've named the chickens. The chickens are super dope. And we're getting this little like farm, and all of a sudden I'm like friends with all these little animals. Next thing you know, we get a fucking pet deer.
Where did you get a pet deer from?
So our friend called us and said, hey, we know you have a farm. A deer got hit by my house, and the fawn is, her back leg's cut, and she's laying in the bushes. And we have a lot of coyotes. So we grabbed the fawn. It's in our house, and we've realized that we're completely out of our element, and we have no idea what to do, and we shouldn't have a deer in our house. Can you help us? And I said, yeah, we'll get it. So we got it, put it in our backyard, bottle fed it, and raised it. And
bonded with it.
Yeah, named it.
Is this here in Montana?
No, this was in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Named it Benjamin. When he got big enough, we were like, this doesn't, we should let him go. So
Before he gorged you?
Yeah, right? And that's what everyone's saying. They're like, he's going to kill you. So it's a buck. He starts to grow little horns. So now all of a sudden he leaves the goat pen and he's out in the wild. So he pretty much, we had 40 acres. He would run the 40 acres. He'd come back every morning to eat. He would hang out. He was just like the coolest deer. Like,
what kind of personality do they have?
He liked Dana a lot more than he liked me. Always cautious.
Would he approach you guys, though?
Always approach us.
Yeah.
So we'd go out and we would feed the goats and we'd yell, Benjamin, Benjamin. And you'd see him like jump and like run up the hill. Dude, move. It's fucking movie, right?
Yeah.
And he runs up the hill and he comes up and he's very slow and he looks at both of us every single time. And then he comes up and you're like, okay. You start to pet him and then he loves it. And then he would like lick Dana's neck and like she would feed him and like brush him. And it's like, once again, I'm like, fuck. I grew up a hunter. I hunted my whole life.
Yeah. Pennsylvania's, what do you guys got out there? Whitetails?
Whitetail.
Okay.
That's pretty much whitetail turkey, stuff like that. So also had 2 turkeys, which...
Fuck turkeys. I don't like them.
No?
I've been turkey hunting officially 3 times and never saw one, so I just have a grudge.
They're oddly elusive. For how much you see them while you're driving,
that's the
when
problem.
When you hunt them, you're like, where are they?
If I go hunting them, they don't come. If I drive my car...
You can hit them with a car.
Yeah, I swerve out of the way, or they come down to my house.
So I formed a relationship with turkeys. So the turkeys are cooler than chickens. And you know they have those weird heads?
Yeah.
Okay, so turkeys, dude. The turkeys would come up, they'd see you, and they'd fat waddle up, and they're super excited. And you would feed them, and you'd think that's why they come to you. And then anytime you go in their big pen they had, they'd run up, and they'd walk right by you. Like, they love following you, and they love their weird little ball sack heads being petted.
Really?
And they just love it. They make these weird
Did you have toms or hens?
2 toms.
Okay.
And you would just pet them, and they just loved it, dude. And I was like, whoa, turkeys are... And all of a sudden, I'm like... My wife we're collecting small animals that are manageable. And like, I'm realizing I'm like, I literally have a relationship with all of these. And now I have the vegan community being like, go vegan, bro, go vegan. And I'm like, I don't know, man, that's crazy.
They're trying to get their hooks in you.
My whole life, I've been told that like, my brain's going to stop working. I'm going to lose all my muscle, everything like that. And, I was like, I don't know. I'm doing fish, man. Fuck. Cut me a break. Like, I'm doing fish and eggs. I don't know any fish.
What would that be considered? Pescatarian?
Ovo-pescatarian.
Okay.
I was like, I'm not friends with fish. I'm friends with these fucking animals over here. Like, I'm not going to eat meat.
Then you got a goddamn fish tank, didn't you?
No. So for 2 years, and then I was eating sushi one day, and I'm eating sushi and just crushing it, and I'm eating this big piece of salmon, and I was like, who am I? Who the fuck am I? But who am I to say that like, oh, this animal's okay to kill this? So like, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it. So I tried it, but I kept dairy and I kept eggs.
What do the vegans call that?
I don't fucking know. There's too many rules, dude.
I was going to say, but there's also like these weird slimmed out categories.
There's too many fucking rules.
Yeah.
I'm not one for following rules. So I was like, whatever, dude. I did it. And then New Year's came around. I was like, you know what? And everybody's like, oh, the only reason you're keeping your size is because you still have eggs in your diet. And I was like, well, maybe. So I was like, you know what?
How many eggs were you eating in a day?
I mean, we had 12 chickens, so I was eating 6 eggs a day.
Okay.
I mean, normal. I mean,
that's completely reasonable.
I was eating 3 eggs and 3 egg whites.
Yeah, that's completely reasonable.
Yeah, totally normal. Fine, right? So I was like, you know what? I wonder what would happen. Like, is everything going to fall apart? The other thing that encouraged me, as soon as I stopped meat, my wedding ring 2 weeks later fell off. Like, I lost it. Everyone was like, dude, you look shredded. That roundness in my face went away.
Really?
And I was like, what is going on? So also had hemorrhoidal tissue, just like pretty much a lot of men do. Mm-hmm. That went away. Like all inflammation in my body, like my knuckles got smaller, my face slimmed out, and my hemorrhoidal tissue went away. And I was like, oh.
How much red meat were it was
not that much.
Okay.
A steak, maybe 1 steak a day, and every meat had like chicken or fish in it. Okay. And I'd eat like 5 meals a day, something like that. So granted, I also cleaned up my diet. You know, like I wasn't eating vegan junk food. I was just eating more vegetables, rice, and fish. So
what is vegan junk food?
Vegan, oh, let's not get into that. Oreos are vegan.
No, they're not.
They are. So what happens is the vegans find out the things that are vegan, and then they just like go crazy on them. Yeah.
So they just overconsume their calories.
Yeah, or if you go to a vegan restaurant, like the fake cheeses and all that shit, I consider that junk. Fake meats, like it's, what the fuck is it? I don't want that. I want real food. So I started to appreciate my health more, and then I dropped out eggs, and like 2 months went by, and it was hard to figure out like, okay, so what do I eat right now? Like if I go to a diner in the morning, what do I eat? And I was like, oh, well, I just eat. I say, hey, I just need a plate full of home fries, and then put all the most exciting vegetables in there. And I'll just eat that. I'll worry about my protein consumption later. So it was weird to break that, like I need protein, fat, and carbs every single meal. Yeah. And then some meals are just like, well, no, I'll just do carbs this meal. Like,
so
whatever.
You worry less about that macronutrient breakdown of
and it was really hard to get past that. But once I got past that, I was like, no, I'll just have a shake later. It's no big deal.
Okay.
And pretty much what happened was I went like 6 months, and it was fine. And that's when I turned a little bit more mad. And I was like, oh, I've been lied to. And now all of a sudden, like I don't like feeling like I've been manipulated. You know what I mean? Like I'm in control of my own destiny. I'm an open thinker. I'm doing all these things. And all of a sudden it's like, fuck, I've been lied to. And once I realized I've been lied to, that's when I got like a little more aggressive with it. And quickly realized that being an aggressive vegan does not work. It's the worst thing you can do. It's like nobody wants to see me protesting or like feel uncomfortable.
I want to see you protesting. I'll take a picture of that shit.
All right, shit. I'll go protest the rodeo up there and see how it goes. But, you know, and then all of a sudden it was like, fuck, man. So, like, I think the job, once again, I'm still pretty traditional, and so is Dana, in the concept of, like, a man and a woman. And, like, I've always been the one where it's like, if I see bullying, I step in. If I see someone in a fight and someone's like getting their ass kicked, and I'm going to step in, I'm going to stop it.
Yep.
If I see something wrong, I'm going to stand the fuck up, because that's what men do, right?
I agree.
We protect the weak, we protect women. It's our fucking duty.
Yep.
So I've always been in that mindset, and that's just how I was raised. And now all of a sudden I'm seeing it, and I'm like, fuck, man, we're literally factory farming, killing these animals for no fucking reason other than we've been conditioned to think that we need it. We've been told by the government. I was raised thinking you need milk for strong bones. If you stop drinking milk, all your bones are going to break.
Calcium, yeah.
That's literally like what I was raised being told.
Look at the food pyramid.
Exactly, the food, all that shit. And I was like, we've been fucking lied to, and it's for money, and outside of that, it's because we think it tastes good. You know, like, I don't know, I like sex, but like, I'm not going to rape people because I like it. So all of a sudden, like, my moral ethics
It's a good strategy.
right? And then once I realized that, like, that it's just, we're doing it for fucking no reason. And people were telling me, like, you're going to be low on this, you're going to be low on this. And I'm getting my blood work done and everything's fine. Mm-hmm. The only thing that was over was creatine, because I thought I needed more creatine. So I was
you were
like,
taking creatine?
Yeah, so the guy was like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm just supplementing. Like, I don't know. So next thing you know, a year went by and I just feel better and better. And I was like, when is this going to kick in? Now it's been like 3-4 years. And I'm like, fuck, man. So like now I look at it and it's like, I get science. I get that there's studies done and all that shit. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, like, I'm in my own little study right now. I'm 4 years in. I feel fucking great. Mental fog. I've tripled my net worth in the last 4 years. So my brain's working fine.
Yeah.
You know, I'm more athletic now than I've ever been. I'm not as big, but I'm not chasing being big anymore. I'm 255 right now. That's fine. I'd love to be 230, but I just can't seem to get there because I eat too many fucking vegetables, apparently.
Yeah, too many home fries with
Yeah,
exciting
right?
vegetables.
Exactly.
I've never heard a vegetable described as exciting, but I like it.
I like when they go back to the chef and they're like, yeah, he wants exciting vegetables, because it's almost like, oh, I've been challenged.
Yeah, the guy's like, all right.
Let's make this exciting for that asshole out there. I don't say that I'm vegan, because I feel like I don't want them to be. I try to not use that word too much because it has such a weird.
There's a connotation to it. You might get the Super Trooper special, like it's for a cop.
Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that. So I think that's what it came down to, is like, I've realized I've been lied to. I've realized that we don't need to consume it based on personal experience 100%. I don't give a fuck about science studies or who's funded or I don't, and that's why I don't like the What the Health movie or any of this shit. Like, I don't like all the propaganda. I've liked that I decided to try something for myself. I did it. It's working really well. And it's like, okay, cool. Now, instead of being a militant vegan, I think it's my job to get more athletic. It's to look better, to become more successful, to keep up on my image. And then when I get in rooms of people that are like badass because they eat meat, well, let's just take our shirts off for a second. Or let's see who can jump higher, run faster, or who your wife thinks more attractive. And then all of a sudden it's like, so Rob, what is your diet? Like, and have them ask me. So that's where I've realized that that's my part. I'm not.
That's how you can be the best advocate, is just by example.
Lead by example.
It's so, I'm not a scientist by any stretch of the imagination. I would say I'm barely a functioning idiot at this point in my life.
Same.
But, these broad application or recommendations to people, it just doesn't work. I think everybody's got to find their own way. And if it works awesome for you, then just do that. And it probably wouldn't work awesome for everybody, and that's also okay.
Yeah.
No,
100%. And I think that's one of the things that scared me for so long with the fucking vegan word, because everyone's such assholes.
They are militant fuck.
But you also got to realize, dude, they're seeing a mass injustice happening, and they feel like they have to stop it.
Do you think they do from a moral perspective or a health perspective?
A moral perspective. I think vegan, you get into the
Twitter's not the way that you stop it, though.
But how do you? The average person doesn't know how to do anything. So the average person's like, well, I'll just post on Twitter.
I took a look at it as well. I enjoy eating meat, but I also have a freezer full of probably 400 pounds of, I bow hunt. And almost every piece of meat that I eat is something that I carried off the mountain.
Which I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people are like, oh, you hate hunters? I was like, no, like, if anything, I appreciate hunters because hunters understand management. I battle with saying how we have to manage animals when most of the problems are just from humans anyway. It was like, we've created the problem and we're going to fix it, blah, blah, blah. So, but I understand that at least someone cares about management and someone's funding the fact that like the grizzly bear population, like that's coming from hunters.
It's funded through hunting tags. Almost all of the conservation budget.
Which, once again, still not great.
Yeah.
But when we can differ in opinion, that's fine.
Sure.
But still not great. And I understand that it's a skill set and that it's a good skill set that you need. And that, if coronavirus took everybody out right now, like I can't grow vegetables right now. So yes,
I'll hook you up with some elk steak.
Exactly. So I would try to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah.
But if I'm in fucking Antarctica and there's nothing to eat, yes, I'll eat a seal. Like I'm not the.
Well, you know what it's changed for me though too is you go just look at the portion sizes in restaurants in the United States, right?
How much food goes bad? Everything's fucked.
Well, you'd see how many times have you seen on the menu 20x ounce ribeye, and half of it goes back.
310 Rob Bailey would be like, I'll finish that plus an appetizer.
Of course.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how little I waste of an elk steak that I took 10 miles a day of walking and spent money and traveled, cut it up, carried it on my back. There is zero. Like I eat I do waste less. I am more conscious of where the food comes. I wanted to detach a little bit from the, traditional factory farming, and it's obviously still taking a life, but at the same time, I had another elk tag I could have used this year, and I didn't because it would be unethical and unreasonable for me to have that much meat.
And in the grand scheme of things, you're a very rare person. I mean, we're in Montana right now, so no.
Yeah.
But like,
well, I also
you just hesitate. How many other people do you think do that compared to all the assholes?
I don't know how many other people have the opportunity. Like, take example, New York or L.A. There's no elk walking around there. So they would have to, there's a huge economic cost associated with that. Is it available to them? Maybe, but I don't think most of those people are even thinking about it.
Exactly.
We have a little bit more of an opportunity, I think, here. There was a picture the other day of like a herd of 200 elk.
Yeah, they live over there.
I know, it's insane.
And they like cross the road. You have to wait. It's insane.
I'm going to find them later.
Later today?
Not later today in the September months.
All right.
But it's changed the way that I think about things. And literally, I looked at that elk tag. I'm like, no, I can't do it. It's irresponsible for me to do so. I would hope that I'm the norm, not the anomaly, in the hunting community at least.
I think you are. And I think that's when growing up hunting, same thing. Like, and that's why I think a lot of vegans like don't get it because they've never even hunted. They're like, well, I stopped buying meat from the fucking grocery store. And for me, it's like, okay, I've killed deer, I've killed turkey, I've killed rabbits, all that shit. And let's use rabbits because they're like the cutest, right?
Sure.
I'd think. So like a rabbit comes out. I'm familiar with the excitement.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with the appreciation of like the fact that there's one there and the fact that like they're super cute and like they can run really fast and they're talented. And like, I appreciate a rabbit for
being a rabbit,
for its beauty. Same thing, elk, like they're beautiful, majestic animals.
They're
like,
unbelievable.
Part of it's getting there and seeing one and feeling that, and then you're excited. And I get that there's excitement to take the life because you felt you're winning, you're providing. There's all those things going in. It's this big heightened experience that feels magical. And after I did it, there was always that feeling of like, fuck, I feel bad. Like there was always a bad feeling of like, that fucking deer was like, that elk is just such a beautiful animal. Like, I wish that I didn't have to do this, but I feel like I have to do this because I need to provide my family with meat.
Yeah.
Now that I'm on the other side of that and that I've done 4 years without it, I'm like, well, no, you don't have to.
Would it be sustainable for everybody in the U.S. to change to a vegan diet, though?
Everybody in the U.S. eats way too much food anyway.
No, I'm not arguing that
so
at
like,
all.
So, and that's something I've thought about too. It's like, once again, I'm not a fucking scientist.
Yeah, I'm just curious if there was...
But I know that the average person doesn't need to consume as much food as they need to consume.
Yeah.
So
I think our society is defined by its excess. Going back to the COVID-19 thing, I've traveled enough of the world and seen people in like some of the most horrendous conditions ever.
Yeah.
And what I see are people right now struggling with the concepts that the vast majority of the world has to live with on a day-to-day struggle bus. They don't have direct access to everything that they want or need, because there's a huge difference between want and need.
Yeah.
And not everything is readily at their fingertips, and they don't have the freedom of movement that they would always want to have. It's like most of the world, this is how the non-first world lives on a daily. And it just, that experience and seeing that and seeing people make the decisions that they're making, it's like, you guys have no idea how good we have it. Our society is defined by its success.
They have no idea. And I think that that's part of the problem. And I think it's a lot of the problem. Let me correct that. I don't think the average person understands what they should consume in a day. And I think that we're like so broken from that.
Well, if you go on the internet for 30 minutes, you could probably get 50 different suggestions.
And I think that the cost factor of it's too expensive to go vegan. It's like, well, I mean,
it's not cheap.
No, it's not cheap. Being healthy isn't cheap.
Correct.
But it's also, where do you want to spend your money? You know, I have employees that like, I can't do that. It's too expensive. It's like, you literally spent $100 at the bar last night. $100 on alcohol last night and a cover charge. What? Like, it's where you want to put your money, and it's how hard you want to work.
Yeah, it's prioritization.
You know, I think that it's the same thing. How much free time do you want to have? I try not to go too far with the personal responsibility, and everything that happens to me is my fault. That's sort of how I look at things.
Yeah.
Everything. And there's always the person that's like, well, what about a horrible illness? It's like, well, how am I going to receive that illness? I can at least choose that. But I think that everything that happens, I don't think that everything happens for a reason. I think that everything happens, and then you have to provide a reason to that. And I think that if you look at the world like that, and if you look at the world that you have opportunity everywhere, you can literally control your destiny, then you look at a minimum wage job different. You realize that, like, I started out washing dishes.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm not trying to seem super cool or that preachy guy, but started out washing dishes. And my whole thing was like, how do I become more efficient at this? How do I impress everyone that I've had the dishes cleaner and done faster? So I'm like making changes and asking like, hey, can we move this rack over here because I can reach?
Optimizing the dishwashing.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. And so I learned so much. I'm learning how to navigate and talk and ask for things, and building up this skill set that's insane when everyone else is like, I can't wait till I'm done this dumb dishwash so I can start my life. And I think that a lot of people miss that. A lot of people are just on the ride. They're just on the ride. And I think that if you really wanted to eat better, you could do it, is what it comes down to. And I think that if people disagree with that, they're fucking liars.
There's a buddy of mine years ago explained to me a concept that's not new by any stretch. But if you think of two circles, as a very, like an archery target, there's a small one in the middle, like an X or a 10 ring. And then there's another huge circle that probably exceeds the circumference or the radius by 10x. The small circle is your circle of influence, the things that you can actually change. And then the huge circle is your circle of concern. And those are the things that you worry about and consume your bandwidth and your energy and your time worrying about. Most people, to include myself occasionally, will spend an inordinate amount of time in their circle of concern, whereas you should spend the vast majority of your time in the circle of influence. You can be concerned about getting that terrible illness, right? But you can't change the fact, like the COVID-19. You can do everything that you can. You may get it, you may not. But you have complete control over how you handle it, right? Or how you receive that.
Yes.
The minimum wage job. Like, I can't believe I have to work for this job, and I just want to move on with my life. And you're focusing on all these other things you're concerned about. Or you could optimize your minimum wage job, the things you can actually influence, and focus your time there. And once he explained that to me, I actually sat down for a little bit. Social media is a great example, right? That's your circle of concern, not influence.
Yeah.
You're not changing shit on Instagram or fill in the blank. But people spend so much time counting their likes, counting their followers.
Yep.
Concern, not influence. Yep. And if you spend that time, I don't have enough money to eat healthy. Well, you do if you focus on the things you can directly control. Where are you spending your money? Where are you spending your time? And it's a good way. When I feel like I'm focusing on the wrong stuff, I'll literally sit down and be like, what did I just spend my last 2 hours doing? Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah.
Useless things that aren't, and I can only really control myself. That's the realization that hopefully everybody comes to at some point. Like, you can be concerned about whatever you want, but you can only control yourself. And so maybe just focus on that.
Yeah. I heard a really good thing that I've started doing. I probably do it once a month, and I forget about it and I remember. But it's just the giant mental dump. And it's a stream of consciousness. I write down everything in my head and I get it out.
Just journal it out?
Just like listing. Just like light bulb out in downstairs hallway. Like, does my brother make enough money working for me? is my hair still cool? Like just I write down, and then big things like need to finish paying off X, Y, and Z, or like need to figure out the new brand direction of this, like from big to small, and then you can like look at it. And I heard the word renegotiate, and which like for some reason everyone's like, oh yeah, different how you look at things. And then someone said, I forget where I heard it, but it said, and then pick the big things and you renegotiate your relationship with those things. And for some reason that verbiage like rocked me, and I was like, whoa, like okay, cool. So now I'm in like a business meeting with this list, and I'm going to renegotiate the way that I look at like the light bulbs and the way that like I should go about all these different things. And dude, it's amazing how much stuff floats around in your consciousness of your circle of concern, and it just crushes you.
Yeah.
And like, it's not even because
you can like feel the weight of it.
And I think the big thing is like things without timelines and things that aren't organized for me specifically in urgency or a to-do list or how high they are. My brain can't seem to understand where they fall. So like if it's like packing for a trip next Thursday and versus something that's happening tomorrow with a business partner or a lawsuit, it's like my brain can't figure out which is more important because it's all just circulating up there. So getting it out, writing it down, organizing it, for some reason that's like, okay, cool. I don't have to pack till Tuesday. That's on my Tuesday calendar. And it exits my brain.
That's for Tuesday, Rob.
Yeah, Rob doesn't need to worry about that. Rob has 7 days to worry about that. Rob worries about lawsuit today. So that's something that's really helped me. But I think that like I'm thinking that I didn't do that for the first 20, 30 years of my life. It's like, man, I could have been really efficient.
I have, for me, writing stuff down, taking notes. I've carried binders with me throughout my entire military career, and I would just write down stuff that worked and things that didn't. And it's amazing the lessons that I've taken and have been able to apply forward because I had them actually written down and I can go back.
Makes it real.
Yeah, there's a huge value for me for getting stuff out. Like sometimes I'll do Q&A episodes of the podcast, and I will sit down and write the question out and then write the bullet points because my brain's the same way. Otherwise, I'll be like, ping, pong, ping, pong, ping, pong, ping. And like, I don't know if I actually answered that because the question was about something in the military, and I said my favorite color is blue. Shit just went completely sideways. Yeah, there's huge, and it's, for me, a keyboard is not the same.
No.
And I don't know why. I'm sure for some people it is, but for me, the physical writing of things down is the way to go.
Well, I think it takes away the notifications. It takes away I'm like you're stuck for a second, so I'm like, let me look on Instagram, as if that's going to do something, or like let me check my email while I get my brain back on, and you're like completely lost. I feel like when you're writing, there's nothing to stop you.
I don't believe in absolutes, but I think that one absolute that may be true is that the answer is never let me look on Instagram.
Yes, very true.
Never helps. Any question that you're ever asked, the answer is not let me look on Instagram.
You have to look on TikTok for the answer.
Oh, fuck.
Doing it all wrong, man.
Oh, man, I haven't even downloaded that one. I was Snapchatting with my kids. I was like, I guess I need to live where they are. And finally, they're like, Dad, you don't know how to use this. Can we just text?
Good. You're like, thank you.
But yeah, as long as you get back to me. You made a comment earlier when you were you said you fell out of love with school rapidly.
Yeah.
Why was that?
It just didn't seem like my thing. I think so.
Well, where did you go to school and what were you studying?
So growing up, I was encouraged, but never too much. It was like, hey, you can do art. This is great. So I started sewing.
And you've always been artistic, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I used to just draw everything. Draw over my furniture in my room and all that nonsense.
I'm sure your parents
she loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. So my mom was a night nurse, so she could be there when I got home from school.
Okay.
That was her big priority. So she'd work all night. But during the summer, we lived deep out in the woods. There was nothing to do. So it was either like, if it was a rainy day, it was like, well, Rob's in the house. What does he do? So she taught me how to cross stitch. Mm-hmm. So I pretty much, from drawing at the age of whatever, I was able to like, I can make like fabric with drawing in it. It was super cool to me. So I did like a sailboat was my first one. Then like I started doing like the Ninja Turtles and stuff. And I was like, this is great. And when I got to junior high, that's when I sort of realized like, we're lower middle class. So like I can't afford Jinko jeans. I can't afford like all the cool apparel right now. So I went back.
Full disclosure, I've never heard of Jinko jeans.
So do you remember back in the 90s, like the giant jeans? I'm wearing spandex skin tight jeans right now. So it's like the opposite. But they were just like a cool jean brand or anything. I couldn't afford.
Like
The wide
parachute pants?
The ridiculous ones, parachute pants.
Like pictures you're embarrassed of now.
Yes. So I never wore the Jinko jeans, but the parachute pants. So I used to take like old cargo pants, and I used to, because I wanted them baggier, because that was the thing, and I could sew. So I used to cut the inner seam, and I used to add 3 inches of fabric, and I would match the fabric so you couldn't tell, and I'd show them, where'd you get those pants? They're so dope. And I'm like, I'm cool now. Like this is cool. So I started sewing, and I loved it.
So awesome,
right? So
sewing is one of the best skills I've ever learned.
Dude,
by
it's
the way.
amazing.
There are some guys in my old job, like I would get issued gear. I'm like, this pocket is 1/4 inch in the wrong direction, and I would take it apart and remove stuff, and then like, now this fits appropriately.
Yeah. It's so crazy, but it's just like it's welding with fabric.
Yeah,
but it's not looked at the same way. It's like,
and it's a little bit easier to redo. I don't
100%.
I don't weld, so I have no experience.
100%.
But I can pick out a stitch really easy and move it over like a half an inch.
So I started sewing, and then next thing you know, I was like, well, they wanted me to enter fashion shows. So I'm sewing in I guess high school, and I'm like entering fashion shows, and I'm winning the fashion shows while I'm at football practice.
No shit.
Yeah, so I'm at football practice, and I come back, and they're like, dude, you got first place. I'm like, oh, dope, cool.
What kind of stuff were you making for the fashion shows?
So I really liked, once again, current things that I wanted to wear. So I was making like hoodies with really big hoods. And because I was in the hardcore scene, punk rock scene, ska scene, all that. And so I was making like the bigger pants. I was making sweatshirts. Then like prom was coming up, and I was like, I'll make my tux for prom. So I made a white zoot suit with like flames up the sleeves, because I really liked Rob Zombie at the time.
Yep.
So like I was just like, I rolled in, I was like, where'd you get that? I was like, I made it, and like it just felt really cool. And then I was like, I think I want to go to school for fashion design. And my parents were like, no, that's not a real job. And I was like, all right, well then advertising or graphic design. They're like, no, that's also not a real job. And I was like, all right, I'll go to school for football. So I went to school, played football.
Also not a real job.
Also not a real job.
Except
but,
for like 0.0001.
But apparently it seemed like one. So I went to school, played football.
For some people it is, but your mathematical odds of achieving that?
No, it's small. Same thing, NBA.
Yeah.
A little bit different.
Yeah.
Because maybe. So I went to school to play football, and I was like, I don't know, man. I want maybe nutrition or something. So I started, but I was working at a restaurant, and my friend was a private chef for M. Night Shyamalan, the film director. And he used to cook him lunch every day. And he made like really good money for making like fancy grilled cheese every day. And I was like, because I guess they always had like as many people at the office, and they're like, well, it's easier to pay this chef $300 than they get $300 takeout every day. And
for sure.
And you can get whatever you want made. So I was like, well, I want to do that. So I started cooking more, and I was making, $100 a day, working 7 days a week. So I'm making $700 a week. I'm like, fuck school, man. School,
yeah, you're
I'm not
killing
making any money there. So at 19 or 20, I just dropped out, stopped going. And then I was like, well, I want to go to art school. So I went to art school, and the same thing. It was like, I'm not learning anything.
The curriculum just wasn't aligning with what you wanted?
It was the transition between print and moving to digital. And they were still hung up on print. They hadn't quite.
Ooh, kind of like Kodak digging in on the print film versus digital.
Yeah. So I'm seeing it, and I'm like, what? Why are we going to dark room? Like, I have a DSLR now. Like, so like I saw it, wasn't really interested, and then I got some internships early. I didn't have to get them until last year, so I got internships early. And one of the first invoices I saw was a husband and wife design firm. One of the first invoices I saw come through was $58,000. And granted, this was for like posters on the sides of buildings, and it was like a whole apartment complex.
Massive project.
Whole creative being launched for the year. I just saw the number $58,000.
You're like, yes.
That's what my parents make in a year, and this is one of your clients.
Yep.
So like that's all I need to see. And I was like, no, I'm going freelance full time. I'm out of school, and I'm just going to go out. So I just left school again. It wasn't providing as much. I was working too fast for school, I think. And it never really struck me as something I loved. It always seemed too slow and uninteresting.
How applicable was the stuff you were learning to what people were doing on the street, for lack of a better term?
So, art school specifically, like I learned the foundations, and I was learning things that I already knew, and so like like the golden rule, or like, hey, this is the padding that the logo should have, and it's like, well, I know. If the logo is going to go in the right-hand lower corner, like, yeah, it should have an inch spacing on either side, because that looks good. But they were like teaching us formulas to know how to do that.
I ask because So for myself, I joined the Navy when I was a junior in high school. I would have crumbled in college. Like I was not emotionally mature enough for it. So I definitely needed a machine gun and little to no oversight. But
I didn't even put that together. I was like, oh, so he got structure. And they're like, no, he got machine guns.
Well, I did, but I also, the mentorship aspect of the SEAL community, like it's the number one leadership and development tool is that you have people who are there, you're empowered, you make mistakes in controlled environments and you build. That's exactly what I needed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I've never done anything beyond high school, and people will ask me like, "Oh, you should go back to school," and I don't know what the hell I would study. And then I look at my kids and the educational system now and the job market that they would be entering, because they will ask me, "Hey, Dad, what do you think I should do?" I'm like, I don't feel qualified to answer that, but I also don't know whether the brick and mortar traditional school would be a good answer anyway. Is it better for them to go to an occupation, like a trade type school? I'm just trying to, I guess.
So in my opinion, because I used to, for a little while, I was just like anti-school, like fuck that shit, blah, blah. And now like looking back, so for example, Kill Rob Bailey, right? That name came up by accident. It was,
as all good names do.
Yeah, we were trying to pull like a longer scream from an audio file, and they're named with random names, like just in the Pro Tools. So we were like, let's pull some on, and hopefully we get the long scream so Rob doesn't have to yell again. And the words that we assembled were Kill Rob Bailey. And I was like, whoa, this is like a Ouija board? What is that called?
Yeah, the one where it's moving itself, but not really.
Yeah, so I was like, whoa, this is crazy. The computer just said Kill Rob Bailey, so we rolled with it. But now that like I'm coming out with a band or my solo project and it's called Rob Bailey, I was like, I need to figure out how to put meaning to this. So giving it the meaning of it now, which makes sense, and the reason that I kept going with it was like the current version of myself, I don't want anymore. I want to be a different dude tomorrow. I want to evolve and grow from this shell. So Kill Rob Bailey, it makes sense. So my thought going back was like, well, where did I get that skill set of assigning or being able to market or being able to figure out something and then have an understanding of like, okay, cool, this needs to make sense. How does this make sense, right? How can I justify this? And I go back to like high school English class where like we were going over poems and we were going over books and like trying to interpret what they were saying. And like that creative thinking at the time, it's like you look back and you're like, that was bullshit. Like whatever we were learning was bullshit. And it's like, oh, no. Like now when I explain things, like is that where I learned that skill set? That's now providing me and I don't know, 50 other people with livelihoods.
Yeah.
Is that I can creatively think like that. So did it come from that moment? Or was that bullshit? I don't know.
Or the culmination of a lot of those moments.
Which goes back to the dishwashing story, which is like, was the dishwashing bullshit or did that actually? And I think that that's how I'm looking at school now. And it's just, let's make the best of it. There's something's going to come out of it if we go at it with intention.
And there's some core skills that'll serve you well.
Exactly.
Math, English, and to be honest, I look back, again, at my limited education. Typing is probably the class that I have still utilized the most to this day.
Yeah.
I learned how to type in high school, and I remember in that class, I'm like, this is stupid.
Yeah, why am I doing this?
Why am I doing this? And now I'm just like,
thank
just hammering out emails.
Yeah, so I think that's what it is. You're going to come across some nonsense stuff, but at the same point in time, as long as you're just trying to figure out how to learn, and I think that, once again, I don't have kids, but like teaching when we do is teaching people how to creatively look at everything and realize that there's opportunity everywhere. You're in control of every environment, how you interpret every environment, but you're in control of every environment. And I think if you teach your kids that, then school all of a sudden becomes this thing. And I think that, I don't know. I try to teach my employees that. I try to teach everyone around me. I at least try to say it. And I think that's more or less the key to school is, math did nothing for me. But at least maybe I realized math did nothing for me, or
I bet you use math though every day to some degree.
So to some degree, the big thing is I formed relationships with people to figure out how to copy off their math homework, and how to like manipulate people in class to like help.
And to be honest, there's a value.
That's a skill.
Yeah,
right.
I tell you what, I've never done is a fucking calculus formula to do anything in my life. But I'm also not a scientist. So you think you and Daniel ever have kids?
So we actively sort of tried not to, because we're building an empire, right? And we're like, it would be irresponsible right now to have a kid because we're so busy. And then I think we hit like 32, and then it was like, wait, should we? should we think about this now? Should we have that conversation? And she was like, I don't know, I still feel 20. Like we have time. And then like 34 came up, and I was like, do we still have? What's the rules? Like, how old can we be? And then that's sort of when we were like, all right, let's not try, but let's not try and see what happens. Because we're not like, I'm not gung-ho about like, oh, I have to have kids, all this stuff. I'm also not anti-kids. I'm just sort of like, if it happens, it happens. I can definitely absorb it now. You know, it would, I could absorb it whenever, but it would always work. And I think that right now it's just like, whatever, let's see what happens.
Time will tell. Yeah,
and if we don't, my brother has a child who's fantastic. He lives half a mile away from me. Yeah. He has a second child on the way. I was like, I'll just, all the information, that's the only thing I feel like I'm missing out on is I feel like we've been through so much and we have so much information and I have so many resources. I mean, it's like if Tegan tells me she wants to be a blank, it's like, okay, cool. I know one of the best people out there in the world for that. Let's go at the age of 7, hang out with them for the summer or something like.
Those connections are so powerful.
I feel guilty. That's the only thing I feel guilty about is having all of that and then not, you know, so maybe I'll do Big Brother or something one day. I don't know. I'm just.
Yeah, but you know, in this day and age, just like we're doing right now, you could pass that knowledge on to people beyond your extended family.
Exactly.
You know, and that's the cool thing I think about everybody being digitally connected, even though I do believe that some people should have broadband and others should have dial-up.
Yeah.
Depending on how they interact with
there
the
should
platforms.
Be a test, right?
Yes.
Some kind of test.
Internet for everyone, but that doesn't mean you have to have the same speed.
There should be a lot. Once again, I'm for small government. I'm a huge fan of small government. But if we were to go large government, I feel like there needs to be 2 driver's licenses. One, like you have to stay in this lane.
Yeah.
You don't get to change lanes. This is your lane. I feel like dial up versus how fast your internet is. It's like, no, you can graduate. You can get your license to faster internet.
Yeah, you are trying to empower people with knowledge and information. You get the highest Cat 5. You are a fuckwit on Twitter. Yeah. You have to dial up and get into
too
your
many
AOL.
cat photos.
Yeah, for sure.
AOL.
Oh, for sure. People, man, I wish my kids had to dial up on the internet at least once and understand.
To appreciate it.
Just to appreciate it. Oh,
then a phone call comes in and kids got to get off the phone.
Nobody remembers.
Or you're waiting. Nobody knows what we're talking about.
Nobody remembers that struggle.
No.
What, if you look back over everything that you've accomplished so far, can you point to some key mistakes that you made along the way that actually empowered you or that you learned from moving forward? Because that's what's always interesting to me. One of the things I wanted to do when I started the podcast was you see people on a lot of the times, especially with social media, you see them on the peaks.
I have a mistake, yeah.
You know, you see them on the peak of where they are, the apex, and you forget that most people, if not everybody, they got to walk through a bunch of valleys to actually get through the peaks, and you'll go peak valley throughout your entire life. Like for me, I mean, I have got a variety of mistakes that I made when I was younger that informed the decisions that I make now, but none of them were necessarily monetary or financial because I was, I mean, I was working, I had a very, very stable job for 17 years.
Yeah.
But you're certainly an entrepreneur, I would say, in every respect. And I'm always curious, not about the successes, but about the failures along the way.
So to start out, I worked at QVC. Most people don't know what that is anymore.
Oh, it's shopping.
All right, yeah, it's television
shopping.
It's
full of shit you don't need, but you will probably buy.
Mm-hmm. So I was there convincing people to buy it.
Isn't it literally the Home Shopping Network?
No, that's HSN. They've since merged.
Shit. What does QVC stand for?
Don't ask me hard
questions. Because that's
questions.
A fucked up acronym, QVC.
I don't think it was an acronym. I don't know what it was.
I want to say quarterly something, but that's not right.
I feel like I should know.
Because I don't know many Q words.
Quality, value, something. I don't know. Once again, I don't. Google it, everyone.
Yeah, there you go. With your broadband internet.
Exactly. Or your device in your hand that's connected to the sky. So I worked at QVC, and we were doing like the real life thing. She was teaching. I was working at QVC. And we were like just making enough money to pay minimal bills. And it was like we couldn't go out to eat. We couldn't, the hot water heater broke. It took us 3 months to fix it because we had to save up, $500-$600. And like I remember the exhaust manifold got a hole in it in my Tacoma, and it was just like loud, and I just couldn't afford to fix it. And just like things like that. And it was like, oh, this is life? Cool. We both have jobs, and we're just not. And so I started freelancing at night. And then I realized, I was like, oh my God, like I get home at 6 or 7 from the gym, and I can work till 2 a.m. on freelance projects, and I can bring in another $1,000, $2,000 a month. So I got up to a point in time where we had $14,000 saved up over the course of a year. And one of my clients was like, great. We helped him develop a product for the market that he got a patent for. We came up with a name. I came up with the logo. I came up with all the advertising. And the guy was like, come full time for us. I was like, I don't know. He's like, dude, come for full time. I'll give you $5,000 sign-on bonus. I'll do all these things, blah, blah, blah. So I was just an artist at this point in time. I was just really good at my trade. Dana was just happy to be involved with whatever I was involved in. And we like dove in headfirst with this dude. So for the first month, I got paid. Second month, I didn't get paid. And it was just like then promising me. And I'm just still like a young kid who I just want to believe everyone.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going, and it's like getting worse and deteriorating.
Hadn't been burned yet.
Yeah. And it's just getting worse. And it was like the end of it. And I was like, hey man, like I've exhausted my $14,000. I never got a sign on. Like there's just so many things. Like I'm now to the point in time where like we can't pay bills anymore. And he's like, I'm going to give you partial ownership of the company or this many shares. I think we got shares, that whole like shares aren't worth anything really. We can make up as money as we want. So like I got shares, and I was seeing him write contracts for other people and fuck other people and like straight up just like ruthless businessman. The guy who says like, you know, it's just business. Why are your feelings hurt? And it's like, oh, you're a scumbag. So I went into that and I saw this dude do every single scumbag move that you can do. Like just like even things right now where it's like, oh, that was insurance fraud. This was this, this was this. And I was watching it and it was like, never once thought that it would happen to me at the end of it. And was just like, you know, not covering myself and like still investing my time. And then out of nowhere, it was like, boom, it happened to me and kicked me out of my ass. And we were completely broke. Everything was just fucked. Like all of a sudden, like me being, I just like, didn't feel like a man. Like my wife couldn't do anything. Like we were super behind on bills. Like I'm like, are we gonna lose the house? Like, so then like I'm calling up my asshole friends and I'm like, hey man, do you have any weird work for me to do that like I can get some cash real quick? And like starting to get into that, which I'd never been in that world ever. Yeah. And all of a sudden I'm like entering that world. And then it was just like, okay, I don't want to go back. I'm not going back to a full-time job. I started pick back up freelance clients, and then we started Flagner Fail. And all of the decisions in Flagner Fail were made based on that 1 year of just getting our dicks kicked in. And it was like, I was angry for so long, and so many of my goals were like to show that guy like, fuck you. And then looking back, I was like, no, that dude, like, thank God that happened when I had nothing. Like now, like contracts, yeah. Like, no, we're not signing a contract. I'm not signing anything. And if we have to, my lawyer is ripping it apart. It changed like all the validation for Dana because we did a lot of things that like we were just like, oh, it's so cool that like she's gonna be doing these things, and then it turned into like no protective. Her and I became this super close team, and it was like fuck everyone. And we went into things with like we don't trust anyone, yeah. And then they earn our trust. And as we grew, we loosened up, but like no investors, no anything. We'll figure out how to do this on our own. We're not asking anyone for help because we don't trust anyone. And that like forced me to learn so many skills. And it dodged so many bullets. And at the beginning of Flagner Fail, like I remember a guy came up, and the first month we made $4,800. A $400 investment made $4,800. Flipped it back in. Second month we made $6,500. Flipped back and just kept going back in. And I think it was like month 3, and a guy came and he's like, hey man, like what are you struggling with? Like he's super nice dude, power lifter. And I was like, well, my press sucks. I can't buy the right inks. Like I can't buy enough blanks. Like it's just rough. And he's like, man, I genuinely love what you guys are doing. Like it's beautiful. I do construction. I saved up a bunch of money. Like I don't want to put it in the stock market. I don't know what to do with it. What if I give you guys like 10 grand for a big equity share in your company? And then like just to help you guys out. And I was like, let me think about it. No, I don't trust anybody. I look back now and it's like, whoa.
Imagine what he would have had.
That dude could have bought 50% of like, we're a big boy. Like we're a real apparel line now. Like yeah. It's been 10 years and like we're legitimate. And it's like, man, that dude at 2.5 months in could have changed the direction of my life.
His ROI would have been pretty good.
And like he wasn't, once again, same thing, wasn't being an asshole. Was legit just trying to be a nice guy, but like at the end of that year, we were at $167,000.
Yeah.
And then, like, it didn't take us much longer to get to $1 million. And thinking it's like, man, that dude, like, he almost got on a boat at a really good time. And great for him, and he was being genuine, but, like, I am so glad I didn't do that. And I didn't do that because that year prior just wrecked us.
Yeah.
Absolutely wrecked us.
Did the money that guy was, like, the $5,000 signing bonus, the one who ended up fucking you over?
Yeah.
Did you make that decision to go with him just based off of the money?
No. It lessened my, because I'd never not had a real job.
Yeah.
That promise lessened, because that's like $5,000, dude. That's like 3 months. I could pay bills for 3 months with $5,000. So, like, at least it made it softer, and it, like, convinced me.
It
to
made the
jump.
decision easier.
Yeah.
I made a decision to work for somebody leaving the military, and in doing so, I ignored a lot of things that grated against me morally.
Yeah.
And I ended up just quitting. And
Yeah.
I wasn't making that much money. I was making $150,000, and I went from making $150,000 a year to zero.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't morally stomach it. And then rebuilt. That's when I got deeper into skydiving, and I got my first endorsement deals, and, like, started negotiating contracts and stuff, which is, the skydiving stuff is what introduced me to Joe, which is, like, here we are sitting recording my own. Like, it's really, all of that stuff happened afterwards, but I'm so glad that I made shitty decisions just because of money, because now it's not uncommon for people to be like, well, here's what I'll pay you, and then they say what they want you to do. I'm like, fuck right off.
Yeah.
Like, don't.
All those conversations have changed. Even the decision-making process that when Flag Nor Fail started, we decided, like, we're not doing anything based on money.
I'll
like,
figure out a way. I don't think I'll ever retire because I don't enjoy not doing anything.
Same.
And I will figure out a way to provide for myself and my family doing the things that I love.
Yeah.
And those things can shift over time, which means I'll reinvent myself.
Yep.
I am not going down that false promise route of money. Like, the money is the thing that I'll think about last.
Yeah.
It's an important, obviously mortgages don't pay themselves with goodwill.
Yeah, of
But
course.
I'll figure out a way.
Yeah, still to this day, we don't make any decisions based on money.
Yeah.
I mean, even the music. Like, I know I threw out numbers earlier for that, and I'm sure a bunch of people heard that and were like, "Wait, what the fuck?"
It's real money.
I could retire right now. I don't know how long it's gonna last.
Yeah.
But dude, fuck. So half of that, like, on average, the checks are between $10,000 and $20,000 a month that go right into retirement savings. But that's all I need. I don't even need that much to survive. So I could stop working now, but I didn't start making music for money, and it helps me make decisions now and planning, but nothing we start is like, we're going to make so much money right now.
And again, bringing it back to podcasts, right? There was just an article talking about Joe's revenue for a year, $30+ million. You have no idea how many people will hit me up and say, I am going to be the next Joe Rogan. And I know that
it's because of the money. And when you
so
listen to Joe, it's
wrong.
like, dude, first of all, if you're making that much money a year, those people that are making that much would stop. Like, all I need is $30 million. Like, that dude's not, from what I hear and my perception of it, he's not doing it because he wants all the money.
He loves it. He just loves it.
He loves talking. You don't do that much.
Yeah.
And if he's making $30 million a year, you still don't do comedy shows.
Or UFC commentating.
Yeah. Because you don't need it. He's doing everything because he likes it.
Yeah.
And that's something that's paid off for us. Is I found out that if we really, really like something, we're going to do a really good job at it because we really like it. And then a return of, whether it's monetary, whether it's something, is going to come back. And if it doesn't, oh, fucking well, we are doing something we liked anyway.
Yeah, it's Joe is a naturally inquisitive person, and he just likes having conversations. And I think that's why people resonate with him. He says what he wants.
Yep.
He brings on the people that he wants.
Yep.
He talks about whatever the fuck he wants, and it's completely authentic. Just like you're saying, if you build a brand because you're filling a niche that you feel needs to be filled because of you, and you do it the way that you want to do it, people, I think they're craving authenticity, so they attach to that, and then the brand explodes. Versus somebody like, oh, yeah, well, I don't have any background in any of this, but I'm going to make this design to try to fool people. Yeah. People just get the fist right away.
Yep. And I think naturally somehow you just see through it.
Yeah, I think we have, I don't know what it is, but some people have a better filter than others. I mean, Scientology obviously exists, so some people's filter is not great. No offense to anybody that I might know is a Scientologist. You're just super fucking weird, in my opinion.
You have Scientologist friends?
I don't know if I do or don't.
I don't either.
That's why I was throwing that out there.
All right.
In my opinion, you're a little weird, but okay. I believe in some weird shit too, I suppose. But yeah, I think we have a natural bullshit filter. Some people are just more attuned to it than others.
Exactly.
And you can sharpen it, but I think one of the biggest things, the whetstone to that knife, is getting fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you start like, okay, how do I not have this happen? And then you do the deconstruction, the debrief, like, oh my God, insurance. You can see all this stuff in the rear view mirror, like, okay.
Yeah.
And now I've met some people like the guy that I was working with before, and it's just like almost right out. I'm like, nope, see ya.
Yeah.
Want no part of it because I can recognize it.
Now, you just said that because I thought about it, and there's been 2 events, bigger events where I realized I wasn't necessarily ready. One was we had a mountain lion kill our goats, one of our goats, and then almost kill Dana.
Oh, shit.
Quick story. Dana, I was in LA in the studio. Dana came home, snowing, and she's like finishing an Instagram. She hates herself for this, but she's like finishing.
Is this here?
Yeah, in Montana. So we're up on the mountain. We're pretty high.
Okay.
So she's finishing a story for some dumb sale that doesn't matter. She's only been gone for 1 hour. We always put the goats away before dark. So she goes and she's like done her story, and she goes out and it's like snowing. So she like turns the headlights of the car towards the goat pen. It's like an acre, I'd say. Yep. And she goes out and she's like puts 2 goats away. She's like, where's the other goat? Like, I can't find Max, the best goat, the black goat, who's the male who would have been protecting. And she's like, can't find him anywhere. And she goes down and she finds him against the back fence, like slumped over against the back fence and warm. So she calls me and she's like screaming. She's like, oh my God, Max had a heart attack. Max had a heart attack.
There was no blood?
So she's like, the snow wasn't on him yet.
Oh, okay.
So it's a 6-foot fence with electric at the top, which I realize now doesn't matter.
Yeah, those cats just go.
It just jumps over it.
Yep.
So I'm like, she's on the phone with me. I was like, she's like, I called Drew. He's on his way up, like whatever. So I'm on the phone. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm so sorry. What do you think happened? She's like, I don't know, maybe he choked on something. And she's like, wait, I think he's blood. I think he's spitting up blood. Oh my God, like. And I was like, ooh, where's Drew? And she's like, I don't. Oh, he's pulling up. So Drew comes up, and she's like, oh my God, there's blood. And I was like, put Drew on the phone. And Drew gets up. Drew, look around, dude. What's going on there? And he was like, oh, I don't know. Holy fuck! And now I hear like running, like screaming and running, and then I just hear pop, 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 and I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, this isn't an awesome phone
Someone
call.
picked the phone back up, and I'm like already sort of drunk because like we're at the end of a recording day, so we're drinking whiskey, and I'm like, put this.
This is a terrible like audio only experience.
Dude.
Yeah.
And it's like, so Drew gets the phone. Drew's like, fuck, dude, there's something fucking over there. I don't fucking know. And I was like, get in the house. Like, stop shooting guns into darkness and get in the fucking house. So Drew had unloaded his gun just at darkness, which we have 28. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
So he gets in, and Dana's back on the phone. She's crying now. She's like, I heard like a cat growl. And she's like, there was eyes because Drew hit it with a flashlight. So pretty much it's the fence.
Yep.
Dana, the fence within a foot. And then 3 feet away in the bushes, the cat was just there. The cat was trying to pull the under. And Dana showed up. So the cat, she'd been there for 10 minutes trying to figure out on the phone with me. And the cat was sitting there. And as soon as Drew hit it with a flashlight, it let out. She's like, it sounded like a lion at the zoo. Like that, just like, bro, like. So he's inside. He's like, what do I do? And I was like, go get a fucking AR from downstairs. And he's like, where's the key? And he's like, can't find the key. He can't get down there. Like, he's like, so wait, like which is which? And I'm like trying to remember. Like
God damn it.
I have like a decent Gallotech setup, so it's like sort of organized, but I realize it's just organized for me. And I'm like trying to walk. I'm like, well, what do you see? Like, and I realize like, fuck. Okay. If I'm going to travel this much, it's not okay.
Yeah.
So he goes back out. He finally gets it. And like, by this time it's all weird. And like, I don't have lights on anything. And I just realized like completely unprepared. So my friend comes up, they walk the property. They find nothing except for like footprints that measure, okay, it's over a 200-pound cat.
Which is fucking massive.
Yes. So the footprint for, hey, this is like a 150-pound cat. It was like 1 1/4, 1 1/2 that size.
Yeah. And for people who haven't seen those prints, I'd say a good size like dinner plate. Because when they come down and they flatten out,
they were going by. Yep. Dana looked up the whole chart and showed it to me, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
So we got thermo, we got all that stuff. We sat outside for days. I'm still vegan at this point in time, but I'm like, no, this is protecting my family.
This is personal now.
I don't know what the rules are here, but I feel like I'm doing the right thing. So, and everyone's like, you need a tag. I was like, I don't need shit.
That was a brazen assault on your compound.
I'll pay the $5,000, whatever the fine is. I don't care. Revoke my hunting license. I don't have one anymore. I don't care. Like,
actually, you do need a tag for cats.
You do.
Yeah.
That's what everyone was telling me.
But if they're like attacking, well, in that situation.
Well, it was gone now.
Yeah.
But regardless. So
I think Drew would have. I don't know the rules, and I'm not a game warden, obviously, but I think if you're actively defending yourself, you're probably okay.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you have to actively defend yourself a week later.
Exactly. Who knows? You know. So then it's just everything changed. So then I got another Gallo tech setup. I hit him back. I was like, hey guys, I need a setup for my bedroom now. So I got a 300 blackout built because it's smaller for Dana.
Yep.
I got super bright lights on it.
You get suppressed 300 blackout?
No.
Get a suppressor on that thing and get some subsonic. It'll sound like a paintball gun for you.
Okay. All right.
We should talk.
Yeah.
I have a
We can finish
skill
it.
set that might help you out of this.
I don't have that skill set. I'm like reaching out to friends like, what should I do?
Yeah, we should swap numbers.
So same
and
thing.
Stay in touch on these type of things.
Just got to set up and then have it all right there. It's like, okay, cool. This is only for this gun.
Yep.
So Dana, this is how you do it. This is the light. Like, this is what's happening. And I think part of it was like, we didn't go the shotgun because I don't want to hit goats or I don't want to like.
Yeah, we could go slug versus buck as well too.
Yeah.
There's a variety.
And she's a pretty good shot. I don't know hunters that. Once again, I feel like I'm more prepared, still not prepared enough. The other thing about being prepared is this virus happening. Like, I'm curious, like you were talking about a hard time. That was a long story for this hard time. But you were talking about like, hey, when people get checked with that big hard time, I wonder how many people right now are realizing like, I wonder if they're realizing like, oh, I don't actually have food in my house, or oh, I'm not prepared for anything.
I think a lot of people
Yeah.
are getting that thrown in their face. And, Instagram, we've been shit-talking it quite a bit. It's also an interesting connection medium. I mean, shit, that's how you and I connected.
We've only talked through Instagram.
Yeah, and I've had 3 or 4 people hit me up over the last few days and say, I didn't realize how mentally unprepared I was for something like this. How do you get through stressful situations? Because they're being, confronted, I think, a little bit with their own mortality, which nobody's like, everyone's like, yeah, I know I'm going to die, but I'm not going to think about it, right? Because that changes some shit too. But, beyond possessing toilet paper and food, like how many people are out there that literally couldn't start their own fire if they had to, or have basic survival skills? You could, what are you going to do if the power goes out? And this starts to uncouple shit in people's brains. Yeah. And then you have fights for fucking toilet paper in Walmart or wherever it is. And I think there's a lot of people out there right now who are having that, hopefully, moment of reflection, because it's not, I look at where I live. I'm on a well. I have a fresh water source directly down from the house. I don't have vegetables either, but there's animals everywhere. I could go full carnivore diet for as long as I needed to. I know how to start a fire. God help you if you come at my house unannounced, you're going to die. It's like, I got I got 20 acres as well. And don't worry, I know where the high ground positions are. And like, it's just don't come to my house. It's not going to work out well for people.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I did like, okay, cool. Like firewood. I have enough firewood. I have axes. I have a chainsaw. Do I have enough gas for the chainsaw? So I was like, okay, cool. I'm just going to make sure that, side-by-sides warrant 15 gallons of gas on hand. And, there's just all those little checks that I'm doing and to make sure we have this. And like I didn't want to seem like a crazy prepper, but every time we went to the grocery store over the last week, it was like, just get 5 more canned goods. Like, let's not be out of control, maniacs.
Well, there's a difference between reasonable and unreasonable.
Exactly.
Having that type of stuff is never a bad call. And, for people who listen to this, to me personally, the most important tool that you can pack is your head. Like all of that stuff, if you didn't have canned goods, and even if you didn't have a chainsaw, you can still get a tree down with an axe. It takes longer. Your caloric requirement's going to be higher.
But you can still go gather wood. Like, you're okay.
As long as you have a mental headspace where you focus on your circle of influence, not the circle of things you're.
I like that.
It's you can literally draw it out on paper.
Yeah.
Draw 2 circles. 1, the things you can directly control. 1 is always your behavior. 2, I personally think you can control your emotions at all time, or at least detach them from your decision-making process, which is huge. You can control where you spend your time, your energy, your effort, all that stuff. All the rest of the shit, especially in times where people are starting to get really concerned. They're like, what do I do if? I'm like, you can't control the if. but you can control the you. If you can pack your brain, you're going to be okay and get into a mentality where like, you'll figure it out. And then if you're taking these moments to realize that you're deficient in some areas, fucking fix it.
Because you can control it.
Yeah. But the step that I worry about, and I think that most people will not take, is recognizing deficiency, fixing deficiency.
I agree.
Because I think what will happen is that this will it's going to work its way through regardless.
Of course, yeah.
And then people will forget.
I think they're going to forget fast.
I think they will.
What happened? There had to be something recently last year, right? That happened that we've already forgotten about.
Somewhere, I'm sure.
But we forget.
Yeah, and people's memory is short, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're talking about those business lessons, your memory is long. You're talking about stuff that happened early on, still informing your decisions. Imagine if people took those lessons, but from stuff like this, and it informed their decisions and behavior. It'd be better off.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But I'm a fucking idiot. People don't listen to me, so.
Who's really smart, you know? I think people
I think Elon Musk is pretty goddamn smart.
Okay, he gets a badge, a smart badge.
Yeah, I feel like if we each had an hour of idle time, he would be thinking about different things than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a fucking convertible in space. I do not.
Yeah. He's building a tunnel under LA, right?
He's probably building a tunnel everywhere.
I want to know what he's doing that he's not telling us.
He's probably got a team of people that are as smart as him, thinking about smart shit. Like seriously, if he had an hour off and he was daydreaming, imagine the shit he probably daydreams
It would be
about.
out of control.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. See, we're not smart. I'm not.
Where can dude? That's like 2. Oh shit, we're over 2 hours.
Are we?
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it.
That's how you know it's an awesome conversation.
Good.
Where can people find you and support you?
Pretty much if you go to Kill Rob Bailey on Instagram or killrobbailey.com or flagnorfail.com or DanaLynnBailey.com. She's a pretty exciting follow. I know we talked about her a few times, but once again, just a badass little girl who lifts weights and likes to do fun things. So I think if you follow any of those, you'll come across the rest of us.
Yeah. We got to do this again sometime.
I'm down, dude.
Cool.